Happy Monday. Welcome in. We begin another week here on Three Man Front on Jox. The whole gang is back together, at least for a couple of days. Landrum, Conrad, Molly,
Hello.
Myself. Good to have everybody back in studio. We'll be at Social Taco tomorrow, our Taco Tuesday, our typical thing. But a lot to get into today. A very long weekend as we were off Thursday through yesterday. So we'll have a lot to get into. We're wide open today. We want to hear from you. A lot to go on and discuss. Whether it's 1 week away from SEC Football Media Days, we'll all be in Atlanta, Georgia, a week from today. As we'll be getting ready around this time, we'll have Commissioner Greg Sankey giving the state of the conference. And based on what some other conference commissioners have said over the course of the last couple of weeks, it'll be very interesting to see what Greg Sankey, because I got a feeling there will be some news made at SEC Football Media Days.
You would think so. And we have some other fun storylines, I'm sure, which we're going to get into today that would interest local folks here, particular teams. You got a lot of excitement with recruiting going on, especially in Tuscaloosa, and then a lot of question marks in Lee County.
Yeah, we'll get into that. First off, Alabama continued their extremely hot roll. And how about Rodney Orr from Tider Insider? He told us a few weeks ago his Firecracker 5. Remember that?
Yes.
Every single one of his Firecracker 5, they have committed to the University of Alabama. I'm waiting. Still waiting.
There's a good build up there.
Yes.
We normally wait for the names, but we were just kind of doing a general one. That's good.
Good to see the hangover is still in effect for you after a long 4-day weekend.
Thank you, Pat.
Are you hungover?
No, I'm perfectly fine.
Okay. You don't look hungover.
I'm great. I've had a beer since Saturday.
I thought you said since 7 this morning when he got off the air.
No.
All right, so 5-star safety, Dry Edwards, committed to Alabama. 6'2", 210-pounder from St. Francis in Baltimore. Chose the Tide over Georgia, Oregon, and Auburn. He's listed as the number 2 safety in America, 19th overall player in the class. And so if you're keeping score at home, now these are verbal commitments. So once again, throw out the caveat. Understand that there is no documentation signed. So these kids can throw out the fancy graphic and say, hey, I'm going to spend my next 3 to 4 years in Tuscaloosa and be in Athens, Georgia, or Auburn, Alabama the next day. That's just the way things work. But as of this moment, Alabama has 5 5-stars committed. Xavier Griffin, Edwards, Xavier Crowell, Cedarian Morgan, and Jordan Edmonds. Those individuals are all 5-stars. They have committed to the University of Alabama. Bama is now up to number 5 in recruiting. Remember, last week at this time, they were 34th in recruiting. So that's what happens. They also got a 4-star defensive lineman from Picayune, Mississippi over the weekend. Wilson is tabbed as the number 15 defensive lineman in all of high school football. Number 99 player in the country, and the 4th overall prospect in the state of Mississippi, 6'4", 260. He's got a really, really wide wingspan. Like, he's a guy that you can tell, man, he can, wherever he goes, whether it's Alabama or anywhere else in the Southeastern Conference, he develops from a muscular standpoint. This kid has got all the measurables to be really, really good, and he's a 4-star. But the big story is what's going on with the Auburn Tigers. And we throw out the other caveat that we're sitting here in July. So no national championships are awarded, the mythical national championships for recruiting in the month of July. It is what it is. Still got a lot of time left before National Signing Day. But right now, Auburn currently ranks 86th in recruiting according to the 247 composite. Needless to say, that is dead last in the 16-team Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, if you're looking for positives, you're still higher ranked than 49 other teams in college football. I don't think you want to compare yourselves to that. No, it doesn't look good. That's going to be a number that gets a lot of headlines, and it should at this point based on what Hugh Freeze and that staff have done the last 2 seasons. There is a long way to go. It's just very interesting in the I forget who we're going to contribute this to, but the the statements by Hugh Freeze. I know we're going to hear from him, and also his athletics director, John Cohen, about some of those reasons why. And Conrad and I were discussing in the office before the show. It's a very bold strategy, and for Auburn fans, you hope that it works out.
It's either we are going to look at John Cohen and Hugh Freeze as the smartest men in the room in college football in about a month, or I think a lot of the questions and concerns that people have are going to be validated, and it's going to be one or the other.
So before last Wednesday's ambush event at Lake Martin, Hugh Freeze, Stephen Pearl, AD John Cohen, they spoke on a variety of topics. A big point of discussion on all three are how things are now working in regards to the House settlement. Everyone's getting used to that, how you go and recruit. Here's what Hugh Freeze had to say about the changing world after the House settlement. It's the anticipation again.
If I had a Hugh Freeze, I would have tried to do it there, but
Yeah, it's just not going to work right now.
Apparently our computers
playing golf
took a very long weekend as well. Perhaps they're hungover like Conrad.
I don't know. Now he's running down the hall. What does this mean?
That's not a good sign.
Should we get out of here?
Oh, but I will throw this bit of good news for Auburn recruiting. They did land a 4th of July commitment on the holiday. 3-star tight end Kentrell White. We talked about him last week. He's from Midtown, Georgia. White had trimmed his list down from Auburn and Virginia Tech. He's listed at 6'4", 210. Auburn was recruiting him as a hybrid tight end. So he is now commitment number 7 for Auburn in its 2026 recruiting class. The class, as I mentioned before, is currently ranked number 86, according to 247.
And going back to what we were talking about, it's a bold approach in waiting for those numbers. I don't know if but for Auburn fans, at the end of the day, if you sign a lackluster class, if this class, let's just say, comes in when it's all said and done and they're ranked 23rd, 24th, and you see your peers in the SEC and they're ranked higher than you, it really doesn't matter about any moral high ground, if you want to call it that, or ethics that you took in the recruiting process. All fans want to see is stars next to names and guys that are signed up to play for you in the future. If that's not there, then all of that is forgotten, and it's why aren't we able to keep up with the Joneses? Why aren't we able to out-recruit a Missouri? Why are we not able to out-recruit this school, that school? You don't have to have a top 5 class every year, but we know how much recruiting can set you back, even in the transfer portal era, as defined by one Brian Harsin in his time there on the Plains.
Yeah, and one thing that I will tell you, and I heard Justin Hokinson's interview with Mac and Cube this morning from Auburn Live, and he had an interesting perspective on this. And, you know, during Brian Harsin's recruiting, or the lack thereof, at Auburn, the relationships, they were non-existent with the other high school football coaches in the state. And I have heard over the course of the last few months that the relationship between Hugh Freeze and some of the coaches in high school football has definitely changed. It's not as strong as it once was. Now, keep in mind, in this new challenging environment that we live in after the House settlement and because of the NIL, is that really a necessary evil anymore? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think to some degree it is, though.
Now, I'm not saying that these conversations that I've had with other coaches around the state, that this is a Brian Harsin situation, because it's not. But it's definitely changed over the course of the last 12 months.
Is it a lack of just continuity and staying in touch, or is it an attitude shift that they've seen?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
But as I mentioned, it's not a situation where it's not Brian Harsin at all. I'm just saying that if you go back a year ago and the way Auburn recruited high school in the state of Alabama, it was number one, every single moment of the day, they were talking and crowing about how they were smacking Alabama around in regards to the top talent in the state of Alabama.
Yep.
They were committed to Auburn, which Auburn got the majority of the top talent in the state. That goes without saying. It's documented. It happened. And then all of a sudden this year, it's a completely 180 in regards to what is going on in the philosophy of them trying to move forward and getting top talent.
Yeah. And this is just gut. When they had the kid that flipped, he's from the state of Pennsylvania. He's the quarterback. He's the 4-star. To me, that, and I'm not trying to go overboard here, but to me, that's kind of a red flag in that it just takes Auburn fans. If you'll remember a guy named Zeke Pike. You remember Zeke Pike,
yeah.
quarterback there from the state of Kentucky, able to land a guy like that. I don't know why that's alarming, but there's kids here in the state, here in the region. You got a lot of good talent to choose from. Why, you go and you get a kid who is now on his third school that he's committed to in the process. Maybe that's a red flag, and maybe that's just probably me overthinking it. But right now, I think that for some Auburn fans, there's reason to be concerned. Just with the numbers, the sheer numbers. And I just had a high school coach that just texted me. And this guy graduated from Auburn. And he said going and getting a tight end that really nobody knows about while missing out on kids in this state is not good.
Well, Molly, the 3-man front Twitter poll question of the day asks the audience how they feel right now.
Yeah, how would you describe the mood of Auburn fans with the team currently ranked 86th in recruiting? Are they panicked? Are they concerned? Are they cautiously optimistic or unbothered because they trust Freeze? And right now, winning is concerned. So not totally panicked, but concern is winning with 40.7. Panicked has 31.5. Unbothered says 17.6. And optimistic says 10.2.
So 72% of our audience right now believes that this program is in trouble because it's either panicked or concerned with where Auburn is. When we come back on 3-Man Front, we will hear from what Hugh Freeze and John Cohen had to say at the Ambush event in Alexander City. Go vote. We'd love to hear from you. Also, the text line is open, 205-834-9450, 1-800-239-WJOX. So much to get into on this Reaction Monday post 4th of July, 1 week away from SEC Football Media Days here on Jox. 10:16 on Jox. This is three-man front. Landrum, Molly, Conrad, Pat with you until 2 o'clock. We've opened up the text line at 205-834-9450, 1-800-239-WJOX. A reminder, go vote on the three-man front Twitter poll question of the day. How would you describe the mood of Auburn fans with the team currently ranked 86th in recruiting? Are you panicked, concerned, cautiously optimistic, or unbothered? It's a lot of noise for the month of July. So go vote at the three-man front Twitter page. Well, ambush took place on Wednesday. Head coach Hugh Freeze met with the media. This is what he had to say about the changing landscape after the House settlement.
First of all, you want to make sure you are operating with what the settlement says, and we think we are. We're going by what we believe to be the accurate interpretation of it. It's not really to our advantage to what we're doing right now, but because others, I think, are operating in a different manner. But the main thing is that I don't think people understand is retaining your current roster. And that affects, it used to not affect high school recruiting. You were going to sign your 20 to 25 guys, but now with the salary cap, you have to look at a room like our wide receiver room where on paper we're not losing a single kid. And we got to retain those guys because I like that room a whole lot. We're talking about a staff that's put together 2 top 10 classes, and here we are. We're really not in that realm right now. Do I think we will be in December? I do. I believe that wholeheartedly.
That's Hugh Freeze on the world now after the House settlement and the way Auburn is approaching it. Here's more Hugh Freeze. He talks about how strange it is. Did not name 247 or On3 or rivals, but obviously he pays attention to what's going on. He doesn't have a Twitter account, but apparently somebody does tell him what the rankings are. This is what he had to say about where Auburn currently is.
It does seem kind of strange that we're like some of the lowest range of numbers. I mean, we're like, really, really low compared to some, and I'm trying to figure that out. But I do think it'll shake out in the long run. But it is complicated and hard to sit there and feel great about. But I feel great about our relationships, and I feel great about Auburn, and I know the families know that, and I do think just after we win games this fall, which I'm confident we will, I think it'll all kind of shake itself out.
Interesting.
A lot to digest there, including the implication that everybody else is cheating.
Yeah, let's start with I got to figure that out. No, I mean it's pretty simple. It's stars, numbers, and these recruiting services believe that, and some of them it's not fair to compare. Well, and maybe it is, but some of these classes, they've got 15, 16 kids committed. You got 7. But based on star analysis, you've lost some 4 stars here in the last couple of weeks. That's never good. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is the implication and implying that other schools are cheating. Again, doesn't make it right. There's a lot of coaches in whatever sport in college athletics over the years that said, "Hey, I'm going to take the high road. I'm not going to go that route." That ultimately probably got fired or walked away from the game and did something else. I'm not saying that other schools are cheating, but if that's the stance that you're taking, you are taking a huge gamble that, number one, if that is the case, that everybody just comes to their senses and says, you know what, this is wrong, the way we're doing this. This is wrong.
Meanwhile, Texas Tech is giving a dude $5.1 million over the weekend.
You know what? I had a revelation last night. We shouldn't be doing this. This is not by letter of the law. Fans at the end of the day in December are not going to care. Auburn fans are not going to care if you, maybe some will, but that you did it the right way. They're going to be looking at, why did we finish 38th in recruiting?
How did doing it the right way work out for Brian Harsin?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And, he finally landed him another job, but there's a lot of guys that are doing analyst work on TV or retired to go do something else that tried to take the quote-unquote high road.
Well, so you're telling your fan base that, okay, you're playing the moral card, right? The morality card. We're doing this the right way. No one else is doing it the right way. But you're also acknowledging you have to win games this year if you're going to want to recruit well. People want to see the product on the field. But you're also acknowledging you don't have money because you're trying to retain your roster. That's where I just don't understand how
is
all
everybody
of
else
these
doing
things come
it?
together. Exactly. And if you want to say, hey, we spent a lot of money on our roster this year because we know this is kind of the make or break year, that's fine. But then why are you trying to sell people that magically this recruiting class is going to turn itself around if you don't have any money to commit to these kids?
Well, the
It doesn't make sense.
Well, the implication is that everyone else is promising things that we have to wait until August 1st to see if they actually sign their name to an NIL agreement, because that's when the NIL agreements can officially be presented and then those can be signed. So Auburn is throwing a Hail Mary here thinking, okay, let's hope that these five stars that has committed to Alabama, let's say 2 of them are going to fall through the cracks and maybe we can swoop in there in the last minute, or Georgia overspends on somebody or overpromises, then all of a sudden this player is going to become available and Auburn is going to be the knight in shining armor and ride in there with a big old fat paycheck and get these kids to Auburn.
At a discount from what they were promised initially from the other school, but do you not think that the Texases of the world, the A&Ms, the Texas, like, they're going to go and scoop those kids up and say, yeah, we can meet whatever your number is. And I understand the thought for Auburn is everyone is not going to have cap space for all these top players, but I just find it hard to believe that you're going to be able to go get these guys at a discounted price because these deals fall through and there's not going to be other programs out there willing to offer them more money.
Before the House settlement came down, doesn't this go back to a conversation that we had a lot of times on this very show? And it will, they'll work around the cap. These schools are still going to figure out creative ways like they have always done in the history of college football recruiting to work in that gray area or to operate and still find a way to get it done. And they get very, very creative when it was legal or when it was not legal, and now that it's legal to most degrees. I don't know. But I think that if you're an Auburn fan and you're concerned about the recruiting class, you probably have every right to be.
So a couple of weeks ago on this program, Auburn Live's Jeffrey Lee, he joined the program, and this is what he had to say to the fan base about panicking. Jeffrey's really quiet.
Is the panic button by Auburn fans being hit too early?
Of course it is. Now, I understand it. I get it, the frustration. If you had me on a year ago at this time, we would have been talking about the same thing. The weekend before the dead period, Auburn's not bringing in any official visitors. People were freaking out. I think the difference between this year and last year is the lack of ammunition Auburn has to sell. You know, last year you're still selling the future. You're still selling the hope. You're still selling early playing time because everybody has money. This year you don't have that. You've got a roster full of stacked freshmen and sophomores, so you're not able to sell early playing time. You don't have much of a winning resume to sell. So your holster's not as stacked as it was before. You've got to be patient, and you've got to be able to sell, wins. You've got to be able to sell upward trajectory, something that Auburn doesn't have at this point.
One thing he did not mention in that clip, he mentioned nothing about the Auburn budget.
Nothing in that clip. No.
Nothing in that clip about budget, but
during our conversation, he did, to Jeffrey's defense, say something about Auburn not knowing exactly, not having, kind of alluding to what you were talking about earlier, Pat, and promising money that they might not know that they have, and that later in the recruiting cycle, they could come back with some of those offers that are in their eyes valid because there's the money there to back it up.
Well, Greg McElroy this morning on Mac and Cube, he said that he's been told that Auburn has a top 5 roster budget this year in all of college football. They are top 5 on what they are spending on their current roster at Auburn.
Well, and what you heard from Hugh Freeze earlier, that makes me think that the numbers we had heard of, is it like 25 million? Is it even higher than that? If you're telling me that this isn't sustainable for you, like how much money are you spending on this roster this year to where you are completely handicapped for 2026?
Justin Hokanson was a guest on Mac and Cube this morning. He's a teammate of Jeffrey Lee at Auburn Live. This is what he had to say about the current status of the Auburn rankings in recruiting. And yes, he still believes that this program can be a top 15 recruiting class?
I very much think that they can still have a really good recruiting class. I mean, I think they could probably still land a top 15 recruiting class. I would also say they're behind the 8 ball, and it's going to be a lot harder to do because of their approach. But I do still think it's possible. I mean, they've only got 6 commits. Imagine if you start landing some high-profile kids, and you'll skyrocket up the rankings. I think it puts more pressure on the season because you don't have them in the boat. If you had them in the boat and you started 3-3, you could walk them through those struggles. You could go, let's stay with us, hang in there. Well, now they're not in the boat, and so if you start poorly and they're not even in the boat, good luck getting them in the boat.
Yeah.
That Baylor game is very important.
Well, and all of this was going to be for naught because if Hugh Freeze, they go out and they repeat what he's done in his first 2 seasons, then how many of those guys were going to still be on board? And then you're talking about guys and departing your current roster, transferring, and then it's a big mess. And Auburn fans certainly don't want to see that. I agree with what Justin Hokanson just said about being a top 15 class and finishing strong. I think that's still attainable, but as far as a top 5, a top 10, that seems like that would be really far-fetched and foolish to think that that's still going to happen. And nowadays, finishing in the top 25 in recruiting, where does that stack up in the SEC? I can remember Chad Morris bringing in, was it Chad Morris or Sam Pittman in the early years, signing the number 23 class in the country? Do I have to take you back to what that landed Arkansas?
Well, also keep in mind that Lane Kiffin could care less. I mean, there's certain coaches that, they're not even looking at recruiting rankings.
That's right.
They don't, it's like going to Walmart.
You recruit them, develop them, and then we'll offer them the good deal once they get their college legs under them.
If Auburn was 25th in recruiting right now, they would be 9th in the SEC.
Yeah. Good point.
I just, making a statement that this can still, not you, I'm talking about Hokanson, saying that this still can be a top 15 recruiting class. There would have to be a lot of defections for that to happen.
Sure.
There's not a lot of 5 and 4 stars that are going to be able to put them in a position to be a top 15 recruiting class. And Conrad just laid it out. If you're a top 25, you said they would be, 9th in the SEC?
Yep, you'd be behind Arkansas.
Okay.
Right behind Arkansas.
And once again, before somebody quotes us like dogging Auburn's football program, how important is it in this day and age to be a top whatever recruiting class based on what Lane Kiffin and others have proven out of the transfer portal? I don't know how much important that is anymore, honestly. This could be a moot point discussing this. But when you're looking at a make or break season for Hugh Freeze, and you have done so well the first 2 years on campus recruiting, this is just bizarre in regards to looking at where Auburn is right now. That's all.
And I think a lot of the concern, too, comes from where, just how bad it could potentially be, right? Because Auburn's not going to finish 86 in the recruiting. They're going to be better than that. But to what you just heard from Justin Hokanson, and part of what, if you heard him on Mac and Cube this morning, was if you have a bad start to the season, if you are Auburn and you start off 2-3, and that's going to put you behind the 8 ball even more on recruiting, and then you have to deal with questions about your coach's future, and then you have to deal with, well, are your players on your roster now? Or are they going to go somewhere else? And I think that's where a lot of the fear comes in, is this could get really, really bad for Auburn. Now, it could, again, completely change. They could be absolutely right. And on August 1st and that next week, we're talking, man, look at what Auburn's doing, picking up all these commitments and all these recruits where everybody promised them too much money. But again, there's just, in my opinion, there's just so many red flags with it. You don't have money. You're too worried about retaining your roster. You clearly haven't set out a plan to be successful on a year in and year out basis because you're so focused on this year. It's just, it's messy.
Well, and I've already laid out some of the concerns that I would have if I was an Auburn fan, or they should have, or any program that is kind of in the Auburn boat right now. But yeah, I don't know if this is your annual approach moving forward, or it's just because of the newness of the House settlement and trying to get the lay of the land and operate within the air quotes guidelines of what's been set forth that you should operate in. If that's something that annually you're going to be able to do to sustain it, my guess would be no. Like it or don't like it, you better get with the program and get what other peers in your conference are doing if you're going to remain competitive. I'm looking at last year's recruiting rankings and how they finished up. Clemson finishing 26th in recruiting. Now, maybe that's not a good example because Dabo has proven to do it a different way. Does that mean that Clemson's not going to be a top 10 football program in the company? No, it doesn't. Just like you mentioned, Pat, repeatedly with Lane Kiffin in Ole Miss. But the thing that Auburn doesn't have, they don't have those wins and those successful seasons in the last 2 years under Hugh Freeze that they can go out and sell. They can't sell that. Lane Kiffin can sell that. Dabo Swinney can sell that. Right now, you're still kind of in proving ground if you're Hugh Freeze and that staff to say, yeah, we can get Auburn football back to where we think it should be.
Well, and just going back to the House settlement part of this too, how long have we known that was coming or going to be on the table, right? It's been a while that you've had time to plan for that. So again, not saying it couldn't be true, but you're telling me that y'all have had all of this time to figure out your plan, and this is your plan, and meanwhile every other program in the country is not doing that, and they have their plan in place that they are following, and it's working out for them, and we're supposed to buy in that you are the one program that has something figured out that nobody else has, and you're going to blow all of our minds in a month.
We will open up the phone lines, 1-800-239-WJOX, courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Back to Jox and three-man front next. 10:36 on Jox. This is Three Man Front. Thanks for making us a part of your week. We're here all week long. I guess vacation time's almost over in regards to football season. 1 week from today, we'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, as the SEC Football Media Days will be kicked off at the College Football Hall of Fame.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com.
So one of the other big stories that happened over the weekend was five-star offensive tackle Felix Ojo. He inked a reported fully guaranteed 3-year deal at Texas Tech worth $5.1 million. Now, Texas Tech sources, they have refuted that number to Bruce Feldman at The Athletic, with two confirming that Ojo is scheduled to receive an annual compensation of $775,000 for the next few years per year, well below the $5.1 million that a representative of the family had told some media sources. So I don't know if the legal representation was trying to drive up the annual value.
Which that's happening.
But it's interesting because
I don't know if it is in that case, but it's definitely happening across college basketball and college football.
So the lawyer, he ended up telling some people in the media that the breakdown was the following. Year one, he would make $1.2 million. He would make $1.6 million in year two, $2.1 million in year three in Lubbock. He committed to Tech on the 4th of July over Texas, Oklahoma, Michigan, Ohio State, and Ole Miss. He ranks as the 6th overall recruit as a 5-star prospect in the 2026 cycle. He also rates as the number 3 offensive tackle. So if you're number 3 offensive tackle in America, if based on these numbers are correct, you just made $5.1 million for the 3rd best offensive tackle in high school football.
Well, so here's what caught my eye with the contract was, so from my understanding was, there's, like you just laid out, you're going to make $775,000 a year, whatever it is, and it's not the 5.1, but it's written in there of, hey, if we kind of go away from the salary cap business, then we'll give you the 5.1. I guess that's an option on the table that in the next 2 to 3 years, this house settlement thing, we just get rid of it?
Well, no, the $20.5 million, that's locked in, but in the course of the next couple of years, that will go higher, just like as inflation and everything else happens in our world. What we pay for gas today is not what we're going to pay for gas 2 years from now.
Or just how the salary cap raises in professional sports. Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think that's what Texas Tech is saying. Hey, look, you might be signing a deal now. It might not be worth that in today's money 2 years from now, but we're willing to exceed that number.
We'll go that high.
Right. So
do they plug that in? Have they submitted that with the NIL Go?
I don't know.
Has that still been going on? Are people still having trouble logging in?
Yeah, the last time I saw it was taking like 5 business days, for people to get approval on stuff. And it had already been backlogged. So,
shocker, you have tens of thousands of athletes trying to get their deals in at the same time.
Well, there's one athletics director in the Southeastern Conference today. He has decided that he is no longer ready for the fight. Oklahoma's AD has said he is stepping down. 28 years in Norman, Oklahoma.
He's been a good one.
Castiglione is stepping down. 28 years. He is the longest tenured run of a current athletic director in the country. 28 years. Upon hiring his successor, he will stay on in the athletic department as athletic director emeritus. But you just got a feeling with everything that has happened over the last few years. Just
over it.
Probably done.
Well, and maybe Joe Castiglione, who we're talking about. Maybe he was ready just a few years ago to hang it up, but he said, you know what, I'll see us through the transition going into the Southeastern Conference, and then maybe this first year of house settlement, help with that. But after that, no, I'm done with this.
And don't forget that Oklahoma took a big athletic department. They started firing people
Yeah.
left and right. And he took a big pay cut as well.
Well, if Venables doesn't produce this year, he don't want to have any part of that.
Well, that was my thing. Maybe he's looking at the team and he's going, I don't know. I might have to be replacing Venables at the end of this year.
Does Mateer play defense?
Do I want to go through another coaching search? No.
No, I don't.
Not really.
Yeah. I mean, that's big. I mean, he is one of the most respected people in college athletics. So he'll have one more run. I guess he'll probably be at the SEC football media days.
And he has had a ton of opportunities to leave Norman, Oklahoma to be athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
Some you've heard reported, some you haven't, but he was kind of on the who's who list of, man, it'd be great if we could go and get this guy. He's done a great job.
He certainly has. So that was kind of a big story that came out of Norman earlier this morning, that he is absolutely stepping down at some point during this calendar year. I know we hadn't had rain over the last couple of days, but now's a good opportunity for you to get that free roof inspection from Abide Roofing. No strings attached, no pressure at all. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on up on top of your roof. If you've got some loose shingles, they can repair that quick and easy, no problem. If you run into an issue like I did, where I needed a full roof replacement and deal with my insurance company, well, Travis Lloyd and his local roofing team, they're ready to help you today, because that's what he did for me. He helped me out in regards to dealing with my insurance adjusters. They spent hours on top of my roof. Travis did himself, discussing my issues and pointing out the problems, and I got it all approved. And so then I was really happy because Abide Roofing did all the work on my roof, and I 100% love it. Matter of fact, it's improved over what I did when I built the house myself. They're licensed, bonded, insured. They're the real deal at Abide Roofing. Call them today, 205-922-7134. Visit their website, abideroof.com. That's ABIDE roof.com. 205-922-7134, abideroof.com.
It's Reaction Monday. The Jox text line is open. We will get to your text. A lot of reaction concerning Auburn's authentic approach to recruiting this new day and age. We'll get to that. It's three-man front on Jox.
courtesy GMC text line is open, 205-834-9450. Based on the traffic this morning, it appears everybody is back in town.
Yeah.
5965 was an absolute bumper to bumper. No wrecks, just
That's good.
heavy traffic this morning. Something that I've not experienced probably, honestly, the whole summer. Had a friend yesterday, was coming back from Orange Beach. Said that he ran into some problems in Calera, just south of Birmingham. Apparently there was a major accident, something that happened, had to divert people off the interstate.
It's always nice when you have the traffic coming from the beach and then you're like 25 minutes away from your house and then you hit a standstill. After a long
You're
week.
so close.
After a long week with the family, with the kids, trying to get back in the grind, thinking about the things that you have to do before the work week begins when you get back home, and then to have that, oh gosh.
The 4.5-hour drive home that turns into the 7.5-hour drive home.
Yeah, and we've all been a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of traffic, a lot of traffic on the Jox text line, 205-834-9450. Most of it centering around Auburn and the lackluster recruiting as it stands right now. This text read, that would be great if Auburn finishes lower than 40 in recruiting. Roll, Tide, roll. Michael chiming in. Remember when Don would call in hourly talking about how great Auburn recruiting was going? Now, complain about talking about Alabama recruiting. Pepperidge Farm does.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
Don. I don't know if this is a response or just a random text. He said, good morning, everyone. Go ahead and have your fun picking on Auburn. Yes, it's bad, but it's July. It's not December. How many times did I hear that last year? We were getting everyone in the state of Alabama. So, yes, it's bad right now, but we could get 4 commitments in the next 2 to 3 weeks. First one is tomorrow with a 4-star linebacker. Posey, going back to the clip of Hugh Freeze, said, did Hugh just imply others are cheating to help cool down his hot seat? This one rolls in. I was a Freeze guy when hired, but I lost trust in him when he took a deliberate delay of game on 4th and goal from the 2 with Hunter in the backfield. Or maybe it was a screen pass on 3rd and 22. Either way, this ain't it. Ready for basketball season.
We're already moving on to basketball.
Whoa, that was quick.
Should be a good one for Coach Bruce Pearl. What % chance do y'all give both Freeze and Cam Coleman are at Auburn 1 year from right now?
I will say this. I feel pretty good that either they're both there or neither of them are there.
Someone back at Lane Kiffin for the trolling tweets from the weekend says, name a top 10 team that Lane Kiffin has beat in his entire career. That will be on a...
That'll be Georgia.
Georgia last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there it is, Georgia. Justin, if you were Freeze, would you not focus on this year? He knows there may not be a next year. Put all your cards on the table, win, and everything will work out. It's that simple.
Absolutely. But let's say, hypothetically, all right, let's say Auburn wins 9 games this year. They're in the conversation for the playoff, but they just barely miss it. But now you've funneled all your resources into this year, and so next year the cupboard's bare. And next year you go 7-5. Are you going to be happy with that as an Auburn fan? Or are we going to be right back where we are right now going, man, got to prove it again on the field this year, else maybe we need another coach?
Also wanted to bring up, was it Golf Digest that had the tweet over the weekend?
Yeah.
Yep.
Which the story is old. Don't know what Golf
Yeah,
Digest
no, I don't know why
was
it took
doing
them
the
so
last,
long to...
I guess they were
Yeah.
busy doing the
Do
U.S.
golf
Open
things.
and
Yeah.
other stuff.
They had real golf to talk about.
Yeah. But Matt Stahl, who was the writer, along with Casa Grande, who did the story at AL.com in regards to him golfing and posting his scores on the USGA website, he tweeted out over the weekend that apparently Hugh Freeze has not posted any new scores since that story came out. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not playing golf.
No, you're
think that was
supposed you're supposed to post them all, Hugh, if you've been playing. That's what the USGA tells us.
Well, just imagine he's out there and he's like, man, I'm not
And they would
not
like
gonna
for you to
report
post on
this
the same
one,
day.
But then he shoots a 70. He's like, golly, man, I got to post it.
He's like some of those other cats that we know. He's sandbagging. He only turns in the bad ones.
Now, Justin Hokanson this morning on the morning show with Mac and Cube, he said that John Cohen plays golf a lot with Hugh Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
he also said that maybe some of the people that have some influence on the Plains aren't happy with how often he plays golf.
He loved playing golf at Liberty. Played it a lot. A lot.
Well,
can you see the golf course from the ski lift they have on campus?
I'm going to be honest with you. I've been to Lynchburg. It's beautiful country, but I'd be playing a lot. I don't know how many other things there are to do there besides the ski resort.
I'd probably be playing a lot of golf, too.
I play a lot of golf. Saying they are doing the things the right way seemed like a cop-out, and they knew Auburn fans, being the high moral people that they claim to be, would accept that to some degree. Auburn has simply spent too much on the past 2 years. Recruiting classes can't afford the 2026 recruits and what they are wanting. That's the only reason why Auburn would be losing recruits to the likes of Kentucky. Most of it does have to do with money these days.
And again, I think, if Auburn's 45th in recruiting right now, maybe some of this stuff doesn't wear as much, but when you look and you're seeing, I see Auburn, Idaho, and San Jose State in the same group of teams, that's where it starts to be, okay, that is concerning. It's fair to be concerned about that.
Uncle Jerry from Hayden, first, prayers for all the families in Texas. Yes, no doubt. So sad. Second, the Crimson Tide staff are recruiting like Coach is still there. Is Coach still running the dynasty? The Mariners are sinking like the Titanic. Life is good for Bama fans. RTR, the number 4 life football emoji. Steve from Tuscaloosa in Montgomery listening on 7:40 a.m. Jox Montgomery. Great to hear familiar voices in a foreign land. Laughing, crying emoji. Be careful out there. We appreciate it. We'll get to more of your text in the next hour. 205-834-9450. A lot to digest. A lot to speculate on. What does it look like for Hugh Freeze? Top 25s, does that suffice for Auburn fans, given where it is right now? Do you want a top 15 class? Even a top 10? Long way to go. But I guess technically, Pat, it could get worse.
I guess technically it could, but I don't see how it could. It's not like Auburn's going to sign a bunch of no stars.
Or is that part of this new approach?
Unless it's a bunch of long snappers.
Yeah.
Punters.
Yeah. You don't value those guys until you don't have one.
That's right. Until they snap one over your head. It is 11 o'clock, hour number 2, as we begin a brand new week here on Three Man Front on Jox. 1-800-239-WJOX. That's the phone number. The text line, 205-834-9450. Already getting some texts from some people that are saying that tomorrow's a big day for Auburn. Auburn's going to get a big recruit tomorrow. So.
Okay.
Got to start somewhere. They did get a commitment over the weekend.
They did.
3-star tight end.
Mm-hmm. Hybrid.
From Atlanta.
Hybrid tight end.
Hybrid guy.
Yeah. Virginia Tech or Auburn. Chose
Mm-hmm.
Auburn.
There you go. Yeah, we'll wait. We'll see. Maybe they can land a few 4 stars.
I know this is a Pat
coming
Ponders question, but what the heck? It's Monday. Short week for me. So, get as many questions in as I can.
Knock it out.
At this moment, does Auburn have a top 15 recruiting class when it's all said and done? Yes or no?
No.
No.
I'm going to go no.
Top 25?
Yes.
Between 20 and 25.
Yeah. But not top 15.
I agree.
I bet they finished 23rd.
I actually think they might be between 15 and 20. I don't think it'll be top 15.
No, because still, you go back to Brian Harsin.
Brian Harsin had like low 20s.
Yeah. Even one class, I think, in the teens. So you would, it's hard for me to imagine outside the 25. That's why. Well, I think we're all saying top 25, but yeah, top 15. No, I'm gonna tell you right now. Do I think it's possible? Yes.
What do you think is possible?
But do I think, based on what's going on right now, no. I think you'd be wise to bet on the latter.
Well, the thing that gets me is that I'm seeing some posters on message boards, because we monitor all this stuff and how people want to say that we're killing Auburn. What are we killing them on? I'm not out there not recruiting and getting kids to verbally commit for Auburn.
No.
They're 86 for a reason.
No, and we're going off of statements made by John Cohen and Hugh Freeze and saying it's an interesting approach. Let's see how it works out. It seems like a big gamble at this point, but hey, if it works and everybody else looks foolish, then you will have your day in the sun.
Absolutely. I guess it's part 2 of the prayer at Jordan-Hare. Because that's what it is. Basically saying, hey, we're going to wait till August 1st. We're going to see how many of these NIL deals that the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Floridas and Tennessees, LSUs, let's see if they're able to actually bring pen to paper and get these NIL deals signed.
Well, the biggest part, yes, this recruiting's important, but the heralded classes you've had, the retention, that roster right now, and how much money you're dedicating to that current roster and keeping those kids. If it doesn't equate to wins, then recruiting's the last of your worries.
Yeah, you're right.
If you can't get Auburn back to being relevant in the conversation of, let's just say, a 9-win football team, then what does it really matter? There's bigger problems down there. What does he do with the classes that he stacked up here now in year 3? How many wins does that get you?
Well, and I think, again, that's where a lot of the concern comes in of, okay, yeah, this could get really, really ugly if it turns out that their gamble is wrong. And I think that's where, it gets really interesting is, let's say a month from now or, 2 months from now, right? We're at the start of the season and this recruiting stuff hasn't worked out the way that they had planned it for. What is their plan B, I guess, in terms of salvaging this recruiting class? Because, again, we could sit here, yeah, you're not going to finish 86th, but getting into a top 25, that's going to take work. Like, that's a hard thing to do just from a number standpoint of getting up there with these schools that already have 25 commits and you're sitting here with 6 in July. Like, it's just the numbers are going to make it difficult.
And if Auburn is having these conversations with these families and these recruits right now saying, hey, we don't have a firm number that we can give you, but School X is giving you that firm number. We're just not comfortable doing that right now. And they have a plan of going in, whether it's later on in the recruiting cycle, right before that first and the biggest signing day, and coming back and saying, here's a committable offer that we have for you. Here it is on paper. Look it over. And it's a number that beats whatever that kid was offered by another school that he committed to, and ultimately that sways he and his family to go with Auburn, then that's good. If that's the game plan, let's see how it works out. It's just interesting that you don't hear other schools, especially in the SEC, taking that approach.
Yeah, I've not heard one athletics director like we did John Cohen on Wednesday. I've not heard one other head football coach in America. Maybe it's just because everybody's on vacation. We haven't really had people behind microphones as opposed to what we did on Wednesday. I've not heard anybody go the route that Auburn did on Wednesday in regards to doing it the right way, saying the key words in these sentences that makes everyone else in college football go, oh, so the rest of us are cheating.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? What's the gray area that we're involved with? And what's so funny is whether it's Auburn or Alabama or anybody else, and Landrum brought this up in hour number one, the things that happened in this conference over the course of the last 25 to 30 years, this is pale in comparison from what was going on when Alabama was paying $200,000 for an overweight offensive lineman out of Memphis that was not even considered one of the top stars in the high school realm.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. So, like, when I hear stuff, whether it's Auburn or Alabama, it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that obviously we cover Alabama and Auburn on a daily basis. But when you hear one of the athletic directors or the head coach says something like that, you just sit there and laugh because it is a laughable comment when you're making everyone else think that they're doing it the right way, but everyone else is not.
Well, and I think the question that a lot of people have is what's the penalty if you're caught not doing it the right way?
0.
I was about to say, so you're telling me 133 schools are going to get punished and Auburn's going to be the one that's not punished?
No.
Go to Lubbock, Texas. Take a look at what they're doing out there. I mean, not just football, softball, everything else that Texas Tech has been doing. So I just think it was
the skeptics are saying this is Auburn spinning it. This is John Cohen and Hugh Freeze spinning it. The skeptics are saying that, and in a way to maybe put a Band-Aid on the bad PR and the optics right now. Following up a story with Hugh Freeze and posted golf scores and kind of taking his eye off of the target. But
I'll be honest with you.
It's interesting.
Even without the golf story, I still believe we're having this conversation right now.
Oh, sure we are.
Because it's just startling.
No, the golf story just adds to it.
Absolutely. 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's get to the courtesy GMC text line because I know many of you are chiming in one way or another in regards to what's going on.
Yeah.
Or let's go to the phones.
Let's go to Bill. Bill?
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing well. Hope you are.
I'm fine. I just wanted to kind of tell you a story. Back in the early 60s, I graduated from high school in 63. So that tells you how old I am. And I signed a football scholarship with Florida State and got down there. And back in those days, we had freshman ball. And so one of the games we played that year was against Florida. And Steve Spurrier was on the Florida team. And, guys, I want to tell you something. I've never seen a better athlete in my life than Steve Spurrier was.
He was good.
I've seen a lot of them.
He was good.
He played quarterback.
He also did some field goal kicking, did he not?
Oh, listen, man, you ain't heard the whole story yet.
Okay.
He was their quarterback. Okay, he kicked off. He kicked extra points. He kicked field goals. Okay, those. On defense, he stayed in the game. He played safety. And he also punted. He also was a punter. And then on defense, he played safety. And he also ran back kickoffs and he ran back punts. So he literally never, ever left the field. But I'm going to tell you something, boys. I've seen a lot of good athletes in my old age, and he was one of the best I've ever seen. I think he could have made all SEC in baseball and probably basketball too. He was an all around high school player.
Yep, out of the state of Tennessee. How he got out of the state of Tennessee and ended up at Florida. Pretty amazing.
Well, I tell you exactly how, because when Tennessee when he was getting out, they were still running the single wing.
Mm.
And so he said he wanted to go somewhere where they threw the football, and he did.
He did.
But I've always been wanting to get on the radio and just talk about him because, I mean, I've seen Bo Jackson, I've seen Herschel, I've seen Dion and all of them, and I put him right up there with all of them. I tell you, he was unbelievable.
Bill, thank you for sharing. We appreciate you calling. Call back anytime. Or was it Tennessee was operating within the rules and Florida was not?
They were doing things the right way, Lynch.
Eh? Text line is open, 205-834-9450. Will asking the question, serious question. How can you cheat nowadays other than talking to recruits when you're not supposed to?
I mean, I guess there's still things that are cheating. They're just not enforced.
Not hiding money. But I guess that's more than just a NCAA or a college football violation.
But yeah,
that's when Uncle Sam gets involved.
Yeah, and the tampering's the big one, but as we know, that happens all the time, and there's no punishment for it. You just get publicly roasted by a head coach, and then that's that.
Jamie texts in and says, as much as I loathe the barn and appreciate what the Tide is doing, it's way too early to jump off the barn, folks. Roll Tide. Thank you, Jamie. JJ says, I'm not an Auburn fan, but I do like to see them do well because it makes the Iron Bowl better, but it seems like ever since Gus left, that program has been in a tailspin. God is great, and so are y'all. Have a great day. Thank you, JJ. You too.
One thing we did talk about last week, and we brought this up with David Waters from the Gators Breakdown podcast. Think back last year, right before the start of the season. Remember, Florida had all those players decommit,
Mm-hmm.
and they were, I believe, in the low 60s in national recruiting. And Billy Napier on the hot seat.
Yep.
And everyone thought, okay, well, this is the beginning of the end. And then all of a sudden, Scott Strickland gave hey, he's not going anywhere. He will be back in 2026. I'm not saying that John Cohen needs to do that for Hugh Freeze, but they turned it around, won a few games on the field, and they closed as well as anybody in the nation when it came to recruiting last year. So there's that hope in regards to drawing a parallel. What happened last year in the SEC could be the Auburn story for this year.
Yeah, and getting off to a good start, having wins on the field, I think that will help. But let's not kid ourselves. Most of this is driven by money. It's a financial decision. That hasn't changed. For some prospects, that hasn't changed since the beginning of college football as we know it, but especially now. And if you have a firm offer and something that is written on legal paper with a letterhead that makes it official and another school can't do it, that's a deal breaker. But that doesn't mean that can't change during the course of the season. Heck, even next week, or I guess at the beginning of August, according to John Cohen and Hugh Freeze.
Yep, it's how much are you going to pay me and when do I get my first check?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Because some of these kids, they don't care about winning championships, and a lot of them, they don't care about your tradition. How much is it going to mean for me and my family?
Yep.
And I have a hard time thinking that I wouldn't think that way if I was an 18-year-old.
Absolutely. And then you throw in, you got a pretty good track record of sending kids to the NFL? Okay. Yep. I'm good.
I never saw myself stepping foot on your campus and wearing that uniform, but the money makes it a reality for me and my family and our future.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, if I never make the league, I never do anything, I blow out my knee, I've still got a $2 million nest egg when I leave school.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
This one rolls in. Darren from Tennessee just got back from Dollywood with the family, went to a Lids outlet store in Pigeon Forge. I found more Alabama stuff than I did Tennessee stuff. I love it. Roll Tide. Love the show, guys. Thank you, Darren.
Man, I haven't been to a Lids in forever. That was one of those stores as a kid I always loved going inside. Couldn't tell you the last time I went to a Lids.
Oh, now we are getting Photoshop photos. Thank you very much. Those are always entertaining. All right. Keep the text. Some of them we just can't read. Appreciate the text. Appreciate your creativity. But some of these would be hurtful. Some individuals.
That one photoshopped one, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, is that old tree leaning up against your property close to your house or next to your deck? Don't wait for the next storm to come through Birmingham and to give a bigger problem to your homestead. Call Goldston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443. Your trusted local experts in fast, affordable, professional tree removal, trimming, and cleanup. Licensed, insured, ready to handle any job, big or small. Call Goldston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443. Goldston also offers 24-hour emergency tree service. When it comes to your trees, don't risk it. Call Goldston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443.
More college football conversation. You're welcome to join that conversation. It's three-man front on a Monday on Jox.
Back from the long 4th of July holiday weekend. Next week at this time, we'll be in Atlanta, Georgia for the SEC Football Media Days. But over the weekend, the 41-year-old Joey Chestnut did what he was unable to do last year because, remember, he was banned last year. Unable to participate there in the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. He was banned because of a sponsorship conflict. Remember, he was going to sponsor some plant-based
Like
meat.
the vegan hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. And they said, no, not happening. Will not participate. He ate 70 and a half hot dogs with buns in 10 minutes. A ridiculous 24 hot dogs clear of second place. So, I mean, there's not even like somebody that's like on the cusp of challenging him, basically. Meanwhile, Miki Sudo won her 11th title in the women's side, though she did fall short of her world record of 51, which was set last year. Kind of was on cruise control. And then, of course, I don't know if you saw the clip, but then, so Joey Chestnut, while he was,
Oh, yeah.
there was a protester,
Took him out.
and then he popped somebody.
He's got a dude in a chokehold with like half a hot dog in
He's
his
sitting
mouth.
there and he did not let up one bit. So he wins the contest again. 41 years old.
I wonder what's the ratings disparity when he was a part of the event and not a part of the event.
I didn't watch it
and I'm
last
sure,
year.
and he's got corporate dollars that are coming in and sponsorship money and endorsement deals, but that event's not the same without him, right?
No, not at all.
He is the GOAT when it comes to competitive eating.
And this year was a little bit different, but it always happens. Historically, on that day, I would always be at a restaurant and they would have it on.
Yep.
And I'm just like, that's just not very appealing to me as I'm sitting here eating.
It's terrible. It's the remnants of it, the soggy bread. There's just a lot that's just not very appealing, or especially if you're trying to eat lunch.
So according to the internet, which never lies, it says he averages about $500,000 a year in winnings from eating competitions.
He came on our show.
Nice dude.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Great interview.
And
Yeah.
some of the things that he has to do to purge his body, I don't know if it's necessarily really good for your body. I would guess it's not.
I always wondered how that worked.
I'm like the anti Joey Chestnut. I can't eat anything in a short amount of time.
He does what a lot of models have done over the years.
What is that?
Now you consume food and then you get rid of the food.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would imagine that'd be part of it.
Yeah. Something you can consume. It's a lot more appetizing. It's going to be easier on your stomach. And that's our friends at Mystic Beverage. That's sparkling water infused with various cannabinoids made in Blount County. You can find it at your local Piggly Wiggly. You can go with the Lift brand, and that's what I go with. It's got the green coffee bean extract. It's going to boost both your body and your mind, give you that pick-me-up, and not leave you feeling queasy with the after effects of, say, coffee late in the day. You can get the Lift. You can go with the High Hills Delta 9, the Nirvanic, or the Broadway. You can find them again at your local Piggly Wiggly. Delicious flavors to choose from, whether it's the southern berry, the mango, the watermelon, or the blood orange. Find it, mysticbeverage.com. Great people made right here in the state. mysticbeverage.com for more information.
Braves are swept by the last place Orioles over the weekend. Baltimore handed Atlanta its 9th loss in 10 games, including 6 games in which the Braves have scored 1 or no runs. Marcell Ozuna was given the day off. It was a mental day off, according to Brian Snitker. In his past 30 games, Ozuna has hit 159. He's hit 1 homer and struck out 32 times. Meanwhile, Harris is 7 for 67 with a 1.07 batting average in his past 20 games. He hasn't drawn a walk in 153 plate appearances since May 18th. He's hitting .210 and currently last among Major League Baseball qualifiers in on-base percentage and OPS. So the Braves now are 11 games under 500 for the first time since 2017.
And
that
were
was
some fun years.
That was the year that they went 72-90 as a team.
I did what Ozuna did the last 3 games. I just had a mental day.
You mentally checked out?
Yeah, didn't watch. Just looked at scores, and they're done. But I don't know what happens. You got to play out your schedule. But they're disgusting to watch right now.
So the Braves payroll, $210 million. The Miami Marlins team payroll, $68 million. And the Marlins are now ahead of the Braves in the National League East.
You're what, 2 games ahead of the team that just fired their manager and general manager?
Yep, the manager that won you a World Series title and a general manager that had been with the organization since 2009, they were both fired yesterday. And you're 2 games behind the Braves.
There's nobody there's not another arm. With Swellenbach, what happened with his arm, that's very unfortunate. Chris Sale, who knows when he's going to be back. Harris has been dreadful at the plate. Most of that lineup has been dreadful. I don't know if you blame Tim Hires for the entire organization, but I was on the show this morning. They threw out the stat of Gwinnett and the batting averages at every level, and they're some of the lowest in all of the minor leagues. So it's not just an Atlanta problem. Apparently, nobody can hit in the farm system either.
Joel Sherman from MLB Network over the weekend, he says the Braves should consider trading Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah.
He said the Braves need to consider that because they could get the kind of haul that the Nationals got by trading Juan Soto.
Yeah, and look how it's worked out for the Nationals.
Fair point. They got some very good players in that, but it hasn't translated to wins. It would also be PR suicide.
That would be one of the still the reasons, the draw for me to go and watch a Braves game is to watch Ronald Acuna play.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get rid of that. I wonder if this hurts attendance in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
I think that if
based
they
on
were
what
to
I saw over the weekend, I think folks already like Landrum. They are done.
What we saw, and we don't maybe I guess have as good of a feel on it because we don't cover the NBA as much, but how Mavericks fans felt after they got rid of Luka Doncic and they wanted to revolt and essentially remove that franchise from existence. I think you'd have a lot of Braves fans that were in a similar boat with Atlanta if they were to get rid of Ronald.
And there's no way they're going to get rid of Ronald Acuna. You still have club options in 27 and 28. But there are definitely some names on that roster you do need to get rid of.
Well, it's interesting because Joel Sherman pointed out that it would be a huge haul that Atlanta would get in return. And also those contract extensions that you were talking about, they believe that whether it's the Yankees or the Mets or anybody else, they could dwarf whatever Atlanta would offer from a contractual status, and that the Braves should at least explore it currently just because you need to sell high as opposed to waiting a couple of years. And because of his injury history.
Yeah, you don't want him to get hurt again.
But selling high, to me, if we take Ronald Acuna out of the equation, your hope is that some of these guys that aren't hitting their weight right now, they have a better second half. Not that means you make the playoffs, but you're going to get higher trade value when it's all said and done, if they can perform like you expect them to in the second half of the season.
So I was just going to say, I guess my question for you, Landrum, is right now, when you think forget this year, but looking ahead to next year and beyond, are you looking at this as, oh, they're going to bounce back next year? This was just you had a lot of injury problems, it's just a bad luck year. Or are you confident that they're going to be able to bounce back next year and this was just a blip on the radar?
No, I'm not confident. And part of it is the farm system and the lack of prospects that you have to deal away or even bring up. No. And what you're going to get in return for some of those guys on the roster. What are you going to get for a Sean Murphy? Who wants to pay top dollar for an Ozzie Albies who's seen better days? Those are just a couple.
Well, somebody's going to pay the price. $210 million payroll, and you're behind the Miami Marlins. I mean,
yeah, somebody's got to get fired.
Somebody's going to need to be fired.
Yep.
Whether it's your GM or whether you put your manager out to pasture, whatever you want to do, somebody is going to have to feel the repercussions because that is an embarrassment.
Yep.
Being behind the Miami Marlins. And before it's all said and done, the Nationals might overtake you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get far enough into the season, then you start asking the question, okay, Sale's got one more year left on his contract. Like, how many more curveballs does he actually have in his arm?
Yeah.
Like, we might need to, shut this down for the rest of the year, Strider, whatever the case may be, and go ahead and just punt because it's over.
It is. It is definitely over.
I mean, you have to look at it from that standpoint. Meanwhile, David O'Brien, who covers the Atlanta Braves for the Atlantic, he covered the Braves for a very long time for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He got into it over the weekend with fans for the Atlanta Braves. He said, so many of you two-faced hypocrites here Losing brings out the worst of you. When they're losing, you say we don't ask tough questions. When we're winning, you say we're negative. If we upset them, and fanboys quickly jump to the side of any player whatsoever who criticizes a reporter. And this went on and on. Like he unloaded the barrels. So things are going really well in Atlanta right now.
I don't know how you can defend, based on what you've seen so far, if you're a Braves fan, you can defend it. Injuries or not, this lineup has not performed the way that you have paid them to perform.
He says, if I wanted players to like me, I'd avoid writing all the pile of negative stats I've written here virtually every day this season. I wouldn't say they lack the fiery leadership that Washington brought, talking about, obviously, the manager of the Angels, and that previous players had, but some of you just don't or won't grasp that.
Yeah. Goes back to the fire. I just wonder, and kind of going back to something that we had heard from a couple of people earlier in the season about that clubhouse not being kumbaya and 100% together. And I would love to see the book if somebody, I don't know if it's worth a book, but somebody writes about the 2025 season that's a member of that squad on red flags that started going up early on. But there's no guarantee that Smith Shawver is going to be the same pitcher when he comes back from injury. No guarantee for Spencer Swellenbach. I hope he is, not just if he's a Brave, just for his career, because he's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, not great. But chop on.
Hey, my team was worse than yours over the last week.
Yeah.
Just lost 6
Well,
in a row.
this is the annual, we need to fire Aaron Boone.
Oh, somebody did a real good deep dive on it. I sent it to Pat over the weekend. It's very bad. It's really bad.
Molly's the only one that has anything to be happy about.
Yeah, she's
right.
She's
I'm feeling great.
I'm sure you are.
You have the best record in baseball again.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Go Tigers.
Hope it means a championship.
Me too.
Yeah, that ALCS is looking more like an ALDS or a wild card matchup now, Molly. We'll see.
A wild card matchup.
At this point.
All right, we'll get back to your text, your calls. This is Reaction Monday on Jox. Wrapping up that Braves conversation we just had, Braves did get Acuna voted in as an all-star for the National League. Olsen was named as a reserve, and Chris Sale was named to the National League pitching staff. So 3 Braves. Obviously, Sale will not participate, but he'll be there. And a reminder that this year that they will be wearing not that god-awful crap that they came up with for the All-Star game. They will actually be wearing their home and road uniforms.
Love it.
For the All-Star game.
Yes.
That's the way it should be.
Thank you, MLB, for hearing our cries.
Mm.
The team at Dobbs Ford, they have a new addition to their service. They're outstanding people. I'll tell you about it all the time. Dobbs, right there, Parkway East in Birmingham. But they have a mobile service van that's going to come to your home, school, workplace, all of the above, from oil and filter changes to a tire rotation, brakes, and so much more. They can even service multiple vehicles at a time. Just one of the many perks of doing business with Dobbs Ford. You can book now, 205-854-2222. 854-2222. They will come to your place wherever you are, and they will take care of you. Dobbs Ford, DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Check out the great selection and the wonderful people there at Dobbs.
Reminder, we'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, starting on next Monday. LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. Pretty good day, pretty good lineup. Then on Tuesday, Hugh Freeze. Straight off the golf course, he'll be there with Georgia's Kirby Smart, Josh Heupel, and Steve Sarkisian. Another strong day there.
That's the best day all around, probably.
Yeah, Tuesday, that is nonstop. And then on Wednesday will be Bama, Florida, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. And then the final day will wrap up with Arkansas, Kentucky, Mizzou, and Texas A&M. Probably the weakest of the 4 days.
Where are we getting breakfast that day?
On that Thursday?
Yeah.
Landrum will be dining in Homewood. I'll be dining in Trussville.
Yep.
On Thursday morning.
Oh, okay.
You will have to fend for yourself, my friend.
Okay.
Get you a Spunkmeyer.
I mean,
I'll buy one and put it in my bag for Thursday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're staying the long extended weekend because the Yankees are in town playing the Braves on Friday.
That's right. I'm going to all 3 games. That's right.
Oh, that's awesome.
You just extended your room there at the Omni?
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely right.
Be fun.
Thank you, Landrum. Don't look at your credit card bill, but I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, man. Anything for you and those Yankees.
Hey, attendance will be good for those games.
Yeah.
Very much so. Let's go back to the phones. Robert in Greenville joins us on 3-Man Front. Hey, Robert, how are you?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We're good.
Hey, listen, I'm just hoping that when y'all get to Atlanta next week, that the conversation becomes about what is happening on the field. Because, we didn't get a lot of access with spring practice because the coaches all were scared and bare rabbits about opening up and having a spring game because of the transfer portal stuff. And yeah, I've been able to read a good bit out of the magazines, but I'm just hoping that we can talk about what's going to happen on the field. I cannot get a good grasp about what the SEC is going to be like because it feels like it's wide open. I mean, I feel like Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, LSU are probably in that first tier, and in that second tier, you probably got Ole Miss, Texas A&M, South Carolina. And then I would think Missouri's going to slip a little bit, but I think to me the 3 teams that I think could surprise some folks this year are Florida, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. I know Florida and Oklahoma got challenging schedules, but they return a lot. I like the momentum that they have. I like what Oklahoma's done in the portal. But I think to me the 3 teams that I think are going to have a difficult time this year, I think will be Auburn, Tennessee, and South Carolina. I just think that Auburn is not as far along as people say they are because I just don't think Hugh Freeze can cut it in this climate as a head coach. And but everybody's running some version of the spread now. And as far as South Carolina's concerned, look, they lost a good bit off that team last year, especially on defense. And I know Alabama's got to go to Columbia
and play them. And then the other team, Tennessee. Look, Tennessee lost a lot of top end talent, quarterback, running back. James Pierce was big up front. I know running back was Dylan Sampson was the lead rusher in the SEC. I know Tennessee plays a favorable schedule, but I just kind of think that they're going to slip. And I think another team to keep an eye on a positive way is Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt is going to win about eight games this year.
Wow.
They're not a joke anymore.
I don't think they're a joke anymore, but to say that they're going to win 8 games, that's pretty bold.
I tell you who they're going to upset. They're going to upset Missouri because Missouri doesn't have a quarterback. They almost beat them last year in 2 overtimes. They beat them 2 years ago in Nashville. They will go to Knoxville and upset Tennessee because Tennessee is going to slip, I'm telling you. And then they're going to upset Auburn again.
Well, it wouldn't be an upset at this point.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. And as far as Alabama's concerned, I think Ty Simpson is I don't want to say a Heisman candidate. I'm not going that far. But I do think he's going to have a huge season. Because everything I've heard out of the main passing academy camp, everything I've heard about how he's working with the receivers and the offensive line, and the fact I think he's a better quarterback for this system that Caleb the board wants to run has been – I think he's going to have a tremendous season. And look, he's the son of a coach, and I think that he's got what it takes, I think, to get Alabama back to where it should be. That's on top of the college football world. But the schedule's very challenging, and it all starts August 30th at Florida State. In this Georgia game, I mean, the thing people don't understand is I think Sanford Stadium – with Georgia with a 31-game home winning streak, is the most difficult place to win the SEC. I mean, ever since Kirby Smart came to Athens, Georgia has become a very difficult environment. The last time they lost a game at home, you had to go back to 2019 when South Carolina beat them in one of those sleepy 11 a.m. games. I think right now that game right there is very concerning. But you also got to deal with not only Florida State, but you got to deal with Wisconsin before you can get there. And then, of course, will be that revenge game with Vanderbilt, and then Missouri on the road, and then Tennessee, who's I think, like I said, I don't think Tennessee's going to be as strong this year as many people think.
Hey, Robert and Greenville, thank you. You're stealing all our material for next week.
I guess Robert works for EA Sports. That's why Sanford was ranked so high.
I just saw the updated win totals, and Vanderbilt's now up to 5.5.
Hey, hope you jumped on him early.
Not after his phone call.
Oh,
I saw that
about to be at 7.5
this morning. But yeah, Vanderbilt they've got Mississippi State's 3.5, Kentucky 4.5, Arkansas 5, and Vanderbilt's 5.5. So Vegas believes that Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State will be worse than Vanderbilt. And if Kentucky finishes that way, then I think he can go ahead and go ahead and say Stoops is no longer your head coach.
He seems like he's ready to be done.
I will say this right now, 100% aware that this could come back to bite me in a major way. But if I had to put my life savings on Alabama to win one football game this year,
it's Vanderbilt.
It's that Vanderbilt game.
Oh, we'll hold you to it.
Oh, I know you will, but I just...
How much are you worth? What are we talking here?
Not a lot.
Is this a bet?
It was just a declarative
and the reason I
statement.
said that about Auburn is because Diego Pavia is 2-0 versus Hugh Freeze.
Speaking of Diego Pavia, when we come back on Three-Man Front, we love lists this time of the year. Our good friend, SEC Mike, has come out with his...
You said list, not lisps.
Yeah, list, L-I-S-T. He has come out with his quarterback rankings of the SEC. It will surprise you, to say the very least. We'll give you that list. Best quarterbacks in the SEC, according to Michael Bratton. SEC podcast next. It is 11:48 back here on Jox and Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. I mentioned this before. This is the season of lists. You're going to hear a lot of lists over the course of the next couple of weeks as we continue the ramp up. We're like, 40-something days away from the official start of the college football season. Well, our good friend, Michael Bratton from That SEC Podcast, also known as SEC Mike, someone that likes to come on the show and throw Molotov cocktails at times, especially towards Auburn and Alabama. Well, he has just released his 2025 SEC quarterback rankings. Coming in at the number one quarterback, according to SEC Mike, is Lenora Sellers.
Okay.
Number 2, DJ Lagway.
All right.
So no Arch Manning, sorry. At number 3, Garrett Nussmeier.
Okay.
4, Talon Green.
Man, Damian must have had some influence on this list.
Coming in at number 5, John Mateer from Oklahoma.
Okay.
So your top
He's
5, good. Sellers, Lagway, Nussmeier, Green, Mateer.
I've seen Talon Green play in person.
He's not a top 5 quarterback in the conference to you?
No.
That UAB tape didn't impress you last year?
Coming in at number 6, Arch Manning. Number 7, Gunnar Stockton. Ole Miss is Austin Simmons at 8.
Yeah, he's really smart.
Marcel Reed at 9 from A&M.
Okay, yeah, I mean he was good.
Congratulations, Conrad. You have a top 10 quarterback in the Southeastern Conference as Ty Simpson comes in at number 10. Joey Aguilar from Tennessee at 11. Diego Pavia at 12.
Okay.
Blake Shapen from Mississippi State comes in as the 13th rated quarterback.
We have not heard somebody's name yet.
Oh, you mean Bo Pribula?
No, I wasn't thinking about Pribula, but yeah.
Yeah. He's number 14.
Surely it's the next one, right?
Coming in at number 15, Jackson Arnold for the Auburn Tigers. And
based on Mike's list, I hope they're not paying him a lot.
Coming in at number 16, former Auburn quarterback Zach Calzada.
Okay, now I agree with that one.
He is the new...
That one's fair.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah, that one's fair.
30 pounds heavier. He's the quarterback for Kentucky.
So the kid that was the backup at Penn State last year, who we haven't seen, is better than Jackson Arnold. Who I understand Jackson Arnold wasn't a world beater last year, but he's way better than the 15th best quarterback.
So Talon Green is a top 5 quarterback in this conference. Okay. Based on what?
He's better than Arch Manning.
I guess because Tennessee struggled with Arkansas last year.
Yeah, that one probably did stick in his head.
That's what Mike remembers.
Now, I will say, I think that he has a very high ceiling.
Oh, he's a talented guy.
He's
but
just
where
not
did he have him?
consistent.
Number 5? Where was he?
Yeah, number 4.
Number 4?
Yeah, no consistency.
No.
Well, if this helps, SEC Mike on Twitter also says that Talon Green is my favorite dark horse candidate for the Heisman Trophy.
He's definitely a dark horse.
And mainly, I have less questions about his talent and more about can Arkansas get to even 9 wins to where he'd be in that conversation.
Who's he throwing to?
Armstrong left. That was their guy last year.
So do you think really Arch Manning in his apartment in Austin overlooking Lake Travis, he's got this like on his wall?
He's got a SEC Mike dartboard.
Yeah.
That Lenora Sellers, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier, Talon Green, and John Mateer.
Yeah, when Arch Manning wakes up and he's weighing out, do I go to workouts this morning or not? He looks over and it's that list from SEC Mike, and he goes, "You dadgum right. I'm going to do 2 workouts today."
Yep.
Just to prove Mike wrong.
I will give SEC Mike credit. The Talon Green one that's wild in my opinion. But putting guys ahead of Arch Manning that we have seen more than Arch Manning, I can understand that from that standpoint.
And him having Lenora Sellers as number 1, I think that there might be another quarterback that you could put there, but I have no problem with him being number 1.
No, I agree with that.
I like Lenore Sellers. I think he's great. Yeah, some of those.
I can just tell you that when the voting comes out on Friday of next week, that you're not going to see Taylon Green or John Mateer listed in the top 3 in regards to.
And you're not going to have Jackson Arnold listed at 15th.
No. And I think we would agree we'd probably be shocked if it's not Nussmeier or Arch Manning that.
No,
is
I
named
think
first
Sellers and Nussmeier and Manning are the 3 that's going to be interchangeable with the SEC first, second team, whatever.
And I like John Mateer a lot, but it's also fair to say, well, you played at Washington State last year. Now you're in the SEC. It's a little different.
Yeah. Love the list.
Yes.
And you got to give him credit.
Oh, if
Outside the box.
if he went chalk, we're not talking about it.
No, it's a boring list.
But,
He has to Ty Simpson too high, though.
He creates ridiculous, asinine lists. We're going to talk about him.
So where is Ty Simpson on your list?
16. He hasn't proven anything, Pat.
So he's worse than Zach Calzada?
Make him earn it. I've seen Zach Calzada beat Alabama. I've never seen Ty Simpson beat Alabama.
It could happen.
Yeah, it actually might happen this year. We might see him beat Alabama.
Some people think that Jalen Milroe beat Alabama last year. A couple of different times.
Jalen Milroe beat him a couple times.
We are halfway home. Hope you'll join us for the next 2+ hours. 3-man front on Jox. We roll along on this post 4th of July. Plenty of your text messages, phone calls as well. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. It is the 12 noon hour. This is Three Man Front on Jox. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Folks up in Huntsville, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Mobile, newest market that you can, while you're down at the beach, you can listen to us. And of course, no matter where you go, you can take along the Jox 94.5 app, download it, and you can check out all the podcasts. You can watch the show on YouTube every single day. So we appreciate everybody tuning us in on all the different platforms that we have made available for you. And hopefully the Wi-Fi will work well enough next week where we'll have our video cameras set up there on Media Row.
Yeah.
There in Dallas.
And have people
Dallas,
reaching out.
I'm sorry, that was last year.
Friends and
Atlanta.
And family that live in the southern portion of our state down near the coast. And they were super excited about Jox Mobile and said that they were enjoying listening.
Yep, very much so. So we appreciate that. Big weekend over the weekend for the Alabama Crimson Tide, the long weekend. Five-star safety Jaira Edwards committed to Alabama. 6'2", 210-pounder from St. Francis in Baltimore becomes the fifth five-star recruit that has verbally committed to Alabama. They also picked up four-star defensive lineman Nolan Wilson from Picayune, Mississippi. He committed on the 4th of July. He's 6'4", 260. He chose Alabama over Auburn, Miami, Ole Miss, and Florida. So Bama is now up to number 5 in recruiting. Meanwhile, the Auburn Tigers, they got a 4th of July commitment. 3-star tight end Kentrell White from Midtown, Georgia. White had trimmed down his list from Auburn and Virginia Tech, listed at 6'4", 210. Auburn's been recruiting him as a hybrid tight end. White is commitment number 7 for Auburn in the 2026 recruiting class. The class is currently ranked 86th in the 247 team composite. Before last Wednesday's ambush meeting at Lake Martin, Auburn's Hugh Freeze, Stephen Pearl, AD John Cohen spoke about a variety of topics. A big point of discussion from all three was this new environment after the House settlement. This is what Hugh Freeze had to say in this new world and where Auburn currently stands with some recruits.
First of all, you want to make sure you are operating with what the settlement says, and we think we are. We're going by what we believe to be the accurate interpretation of it. It's not really to our advantage to what we're doing right now, but because others, I think, are operating in a different manner. But the main thing is that I don't think people understand is retaining your current roster. And that affects, it used to not affect high school recruiting. You were going to sign your 20 to 25 guys, but now with the salary cap, you have to look at a room like our wide receiver room where on paper we're not losing a single kid. And we got to retain those guys because I like that room a whole lot. We're talking about a staff that's put together 2 top 10 classes, and here we are. We're really not in that realm right now. Do I think we will be in December? I do. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Very interesting about him talking about the salary cap in college football. Greg McElroy this morning on Mac and Cube, he said that he's been told that Auburn is a top 5 program in America in regards to the roster spending for 2025.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of conjecture on, what does this mean for the future? And this is all kind of new when we're talking about salary caps and what that means. But at the end of the day, if he believes that they're going to be in that realm and they're going to be a top 20 recruiting class, and you can retain your roster and moving forward, that's a recipe for success, then good for Auburn. But you got to win games. You got to recruit at a high level. I go back to these other schools that he is mentioning and apparently not operating in that area or basing it off of that, then how are they operating? Is this going to come back to bite them? Or at the end of the day, are you going to have to concede that that was probably the way that we should have done it in hindsight when you're standing there in late December on that first signing day and you have what Auburn fans, recruiting experts believe is a lackluster class?
Well, and you just can't convince me that there's 133, 134, whatever other programs out there that are looking around going, This might come back to bite us. I don't think we're operating legally here, but you know what? We're just going to do it.
And he's not talking about, I mean, some of the schools that they're behind right now, that's just numbers. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's numbers of kids. Like I don't know, you threw out, is it Ohio or
Idaho,
some of these
and
MAC
San Jose
schools?
State.
That's not a real conversation.
No, it's not.
You need to compare yourself with the schools inside of the SEC. That's going to be your best litmus test. And where are you currently in the SEC? Well, you're dead last, and you need to be at least in the top half every single year. Now, that can mean if you have a top 10 class being sixth.
Well, that's like we talked about. If you're number 25 right now, you're technically in the bottom half of the SEC because you'd be ninth.
But if you don't win games this year with the roster that you have retained, it doesn't matter.
No,
you're going to be blowing that staff up, and you're going to be starting from scratch.
You're absolutely right.
Well, winning cure all, not necessarily, but it will certainly help.
And it makes sense that they went all in, I guess, so to speak, on this year, that they're spending more resources on this year's roster.
Yeah.
It totally 100% makes sense. Again, the question for me that I posed earlier is just, let's say you have a good year this year, you need to be set up for success in the future. I'm not saying that if, Auburn's automatically guaranteed to be bad in the future. It's just you need to have that consistency, right, of winning games and the recruiting, because Auburn expects to be in the playoff conversation every single year, and that's what you're trying to get back to. You're not trying to get back to, well, once every blue moon we're going to have a chance.
And it's all speculation at this point because nobody can see into the future. Does Alabama have guys on their list right now that could flip? Absolutely. They do. The likelihood, I have no idea. I don't know what they're.
I don't think it's a hot take to say all 5 of the 5 stars Alabama has right now, all 5 of them probably won't be in there in December.
No.
I don't think that's a hot take.
But I do think it would help just the narrative, and there's going to be a lot of people, talking about this and other things next week when we all get together in Atlanta. But it would certainly help if you had some wins here in the coming future. I know that there's a linebacker that could announce for Auburn tomorrow, but you need some wins right now, just from a PR standpoint.
And something that Justin Hokanson said on the morning show this morning with Mac and Cube, he was talking about how Auburn's only got 7 commitments right now. And I just did a quick look-see. Out of the top 102 schools ranked by 247 Sports, there's only one other program that has fewer commitments than Auburn, and that's Colorado. So the point being is they get a commitment tomorrow. Well, they're definitely going to go up because it's probably going to be a 4-star. So probably crack the top 80. And then the more talent that they acquire in regards to commitments, that number is going to go nowhere but up. I mean, we've said it from the get-go. We don't anticipate Auburn to finish outside the flipping top 25. But my point being, they've got 7 commitments. Nobody else in America except Colorado with 5.
Well, and that's the thing. It's just from a numbers game, it's going to be difficult for them because you look up at, Alabama, they have, I think, 19 commitments right now. You look at, USC has 30. Now, are they going to end up with 30? Maybe not, but
yeah, USC has 31, Georgia 27, A&M 24, Notre Dame 25,
Think
Bama
about all
19.
The 5 stars and 4 stars that USC has lost. Not just this recruiting cycle, but the last couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, they're number one because they just have more commitments than anyone right now. They're more of they have a quantity over quality in their class.
Well, Jeffrey Lee was telling us when he joined us a couple of weeks ago, he said that the plan from what he had heard from folks that 20 was kind of the number that Auburn was looking to sign based on current roster and retaining some of those guys.
Okay, so you're about a third of the way there.
So the question is, will Auburn finish ahead of Nebraska? Because Nebraska is
definitely what I was thinking.
Nebraska is 60.
That's what we're all thinking.
It all comes back to what does this mean for Nebraska?
Nebraska is right behind Cincinnati at 61 and right ahead of Houston at 63.
Woo. There's still time. I'm not hitting the panic button.
And Scott Frost is at 64. He's 2 spots behind.
Willie Fritz there at Houston. He's just biding his time.
It's interesting because Nebraska's at 62, and then you have Nebraska's offensive coordinator's former school, Houston, sitting there at 63, and Scott Frost, the former head coach of Nebraska, is 2 spots.
So
behind.
for
Doesn't
the
it used to have a
but,
5-star?
but for these
quarterback?
other schools, and we're just playing this out. If they have offered, but they don't know what that number looks like until August. If they've offered that, surely they have a backup plan where, okay, we have a slush fund and we can dip into this, whether it's by the book or not, whether it's viewed as legal. Yeah. If they're operating in the gray area right now, aren't they going to operate in the gray area when it comes time to, hey, signing day's tomorrow, what are you going to do?
Well, that's where I'm really fascinated with what happens if, this grand plan on August 1st, if that doesn't really come to fruition, then how do they salvage it, I guess? Because you would hope they would have a backup plan. Surely they do. It's just, what is it?
And maybe one of the other areas that Auburn is waiting on, and maybe John Cohen feels pretty confident about this, is the new College Sports Commission. Once that they really get that ball rolling on that to take over for the NCAA, that there's going to be some real penalties involved. Talking about taking away numbers of, like, monetarily the salary cap, so to speak. Kind of like it is in Major League Baseball. Like, you go over the salary cap, you're going to get a luxury tax on your team. Well, if you're found guilty of certain things, one of the ideas that has been brought forward by this new College Sports Commission is that you will be penalized financially. So instead of $20.5 million that can go to athlete revenue sharing, it might be down to $17 million. There's a financial penalty involved, whereas in the past, they'll say, well, we're going to penalize you with lack of scholarships and no TV money.
Yeah.
And it's not a fine that you can just pay and say, oh, okay, that's fine. We'll just pay the fine and have our stacked roster.
And it'd be nice to believe that this College Sports Commission, and I do believe it was created to navigate and try to manage this new NIL era, and something that the NCAA is not equipped to do. But I also think that part of it is the NCAA, they were kind of a nuisance when it came to the rules and the things that they focused on, and kind of getting them out of the picture and having this College Sports Commission would make it easier to operate for big money college football and where it currently is. That's just the skeptic in me. I go back to what I asked earlier. What are the penalties? What are we looking at? What is really cheating? Because if there's 15 schools in the SEC, all except for Auburn, that are doing this, they're all going to get the hammer? Give me a break. No.
Well, speaking of getting the hammer, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a news dump. This is kind of an annual tradition at Alabama. They release all of their NCAA problems from the previous year, the weekend of 4th of July. They reported 6 level 3 NCAA violations.
I knew it.
I
knew something was going on down there.
They found them.
5 different sports reported violations.
Oh, great.
Oh, I'm sure football wasn't involved.
Widespread now.
Including 2 separate minor infractions committed by the Alabama baseball program.
Whatever. That's fine.
The Crimson Tide football and men's basketball program did not self-report
Crystal
anything.
clear, baby.
That's exactly right.
But I do have some bad news for your tennis team, Conrad.
Oh, we have one of those still? Okay.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
The tennis coach on July 10th of 2024 mistakenly purchased a koozie during a recruit's official visit to campus.
Oh.
We've been over this 1,000 times.
Despicable.
You have the rule book.
Corrective actions have been listed by Alabama because of this infraction.
Yep.
There will be a rules education provided to the men's tennis staff for buying this koozie.
God, that's brutal.
A letter of admonishment will be issued to the coach.
Fair. Harsh, but fair.
The institution declared the PSA ineligible until he repaid the value to a charity.
What was in the koozie?
Was it, what,
is my
$4?
question.
And by the way, that's the prospective student athlete.
What was in the koozie?
Also, the institution will be limited to 1 off-campus contact per academic year with the involved prospective student athlete.
Man, that's rough. So you can only have one more communication with this recruit.
Yes.
And you have to donate $4 to charity?
Well, I'm sure it was a fancy koozie.
Okay, you have to donate $8 to charity? I don't know if I've seen a koozie more than $8.
Oh, they make them. Yeti has them.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they do actually.
So how do you mistakenly purchase a koozie?
So are they saying that they bought it for the recruit? And
I'm just reading the NCAA. Tennis coach mistakenly purchased a koozie during a recruit's official visit to campus. Oh, let's go into the soup store.
Yeah, I'd be asking why are you buying them a koozie, but whatever.
Maybe they're having a cookout.
That's weird.
And maybe the prospective student athlete is of over 21 years of age.
I was about to say, I hate when my bottled water gets cold and I put it in a koozie and I don't have one.
Well, I was thinking of just a good old adult beverage.
So this goes on
20 years.
The tennis coaches.
Yes, letter of
permanent record?
admonishment. Yes, letter of admonishment.
Well, coach, we were looking to hire you, but
you bought a koozie.
Back in 2024, you bought a koozie for a prospective student athlete.
I thought you were going to say we're going to have a show cause that rivaled Jeremy Pruitt's at Tennessee.
Well, that's where I was going with this. We had the fast food sacks that were full of money. How much did they put in that koozie?
Have a check taped into the inner lining of the koozie, perhaps?
Now, if you had bought an Uzi and not a koozie, that's a totally different story. Is it not?
Yeah, people probably, yeah.
But a koozie, we have too many koozies. We're not allowed to bring koozies home in our house anymore. It's a hat rule.
We have a lot, yeah.
Hat comes in, you got to give a hat away. Koozie comes in, got to get rid of a koozie. Koozies are still a thing, apparently.
I know, just like how you went from koozie to Uzi.
Well, trying to find something else that rhymes with koozie.
Boozy.
Yeah. It's not an object.
No, it's not. Well,
doozy.
So is there any shock at all that the basketball and the football program had no NCAA infractions?
No.
No, Pat, they would never.
They're clean.
Never do anything wrong. No tampering. None of that. No loopholes.
Nope.
That's why Nick Saban's there. He's making sure that Nate Oates and Kalen DeBoer.
Yes.
Obviously not the tennis coach. I guess he has to get to that meeting next, but he's making sure they're above board on everything.
Very, very much so. Had a good afternoon yesterday afternoon after did some fence work. I got on my R-Tech Zero turn from Toro. Man, that thing was absolutely just stunning being able to get on that. Got my drink holder and just sit back and let the mower work. It was a good time. And right now at R-Tech Tractor, just north of Jasper, they're running a 20% off on all their mower belts and blades through the month of July. Don't forget about their service department because this summer, remind everyone that you need to have your mowers serviced. And I know that the way that I've been using mine, I'm going to need to get mine serviced, make sure everything is good to go in the not-so-distant future. They have a fantastic service department. They service Gravely, Toro, Cub Cadet, Spartan, and Bobcat mowers. And one thing's for sure, R-Tech Tractor, those guys know what they're doing, been in business for a long time. Jeremy, Greg, and all the guys, they're going to take care of you like they took care of me. Just north of Jasper on Highway 5. Go to their website, rtechtractor.com, for all the information on not only the mowers for people like me, but the commercial or even tractors there at R-Tech Tractor, rtechtractor.com. More Reaction Monday here on Jox. This is Three Man Front. 12:22 on Jox. The Braves off tonight. They're on the road the rest of the time before the All-Star break as they're taking on the Athletics. Rob Manfred will not allow me to call them the Sacramento Athletics or the Las Vegas Athletics or the Oakland Athletics.
That's good news for the A's.
Yeah, just the Athletics.
Pick up some more wins right before the All-Star break.
And then they end up in St. Louis, Missouri, underneath the Gateway Arch to finish the first half of the season against the Cardinals.
You guys ought to be ashamed if the Braves are able to scratch one game.
Oh, please.
In that series.
Yeah, we had a great weekend in Chicago. It was awesome. It was terrible.
Was that the 8-home run game?
Yeah, that was Friday, and then we won Saturday, and then we got embarrassed last night. So
it's okay. We had a dude blow out his elbow and have to have Tommy John's. So.
It wasn't Max Fried.
No, thankfully it was not. Why in Atlanta?
That'll happen
for the All-Star game
down the stretch, huh?
Thank you, Landrum.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I
It'll be the All-Star game. It'll be great for him.
Yeah. Welcome back, Max.
He'll just stay over for a couple days and go into the weekend.
Now, will your mental break continue tomorrow night for the Braves?
Yes.
So you took a Marcelo Zuna mental day off over the weekend.
Yep.
So that will continue this week.
It will continue until.
How many games will you watch the rest of the season? We're what, halfway through now?
Yeah, over halfway.
So you got, 70 games left, give or take, 75?
It just depends. I'm finding other things to do.
Let's see what old Fangraphs has to say about the Braves, because they have been bullish on the Braves. No, they really have.
I know.
Let's see. According to this morning, Fangraphs have the Atlanta Braves currently on tap to win 78 games. 78 and 84.
Super. I think that's really, really generous.
So I say you'd probably take that.
The good news is you would be 5 games in front of the Miami Marlins and 8 games ahead of the Washington Nationals.
Who are we, Braves fans, who are we throwing? You think Chris Sale's going to come back anytime soon? No. I think Spencer's probably done for the season. They're going to reevaluate in August, but a fracture to the elbow? Who are you going to throw? No more bullpen games because Snicker said, can't do that again. Who are you going to throw? The 17-year-old? I know he's 20, but.
He's throwing tomorrow night, right?
Yeah. Grant Holmes? Okay. Who else?
You already looking at a betting lean?
No,
Bryce Elder, because he's been so spectacular.
Well, they had pushed him back.
Who are you going to throw?
It's a fair question.
Let's take a look at the playoff percentage for the Braves.
9%.
Wow, 6%.
Yeah. You just turn that 9 upside down.
Or put them together.
Yeah, you do that too.
Let's see where O'Malley's Tigers. A 99.6% chance of making the playoffs.
I'd say y'all are in good shape.
If you guys don't win at all,
I'm going to be so upset.
What a wasted season.
Meanwhile, the Yankees are second in the American League East with playoff percentage chance. Blue Jays are ahead of the Yankees. How could you let a team from Canada?
Now.
How could you let? That's not even their national sport.
I know. Well, they're not good at that one either, apparently. Florida runs the NHL.
What's St. Louis's?
Let's see. 31%.
See, what were the Yankees? Are they still like in the 90s?
The Yankees are 86%.
86%.
Kind of teeter in that danger zone.
It's been a real rough month.
You only have a 36% chance of winning the division now.
Yeah, that's not looking good right now.
What do you blame the struggles on last month? Is it managerial? Is it injuries?
Oh, can't hit.
Just can't hit.
Cannot hit. No, pitching's been really solid. Aaron Judge started getting hot again. Just can't hit. No situational hitting. Runners and scoring. I mean, and I don't know. Maybe the Braves and Yankees would have a fun competition for who's left the most runners on base this year. It's bad.
We'll see it next week, right?
Yes, we will.
According to Fangraphs, the team that has the best percentage to win the World Series currently is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Shocker.
22%.
Surprised it's not 99%.
Never saw that coming when we started
Yeah.
the season.
The Phillies have the second best odds to win the World Series.
Okay.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
In the National League or the entire?
The entire thing.
Molly.
At 11%.
Where are we?
You're next at 10%.
So there's a chance.
The Astros are behind them at 9.5%.
Boo.
If there is a team
Yankees are at 7.9%.
that a fan base that should be really upset, it's the New York Mets. Based on what they've invested.
Yeah.
They were coasting right along for a while. But Mets are going to Met, right?
Mets have a 6.3% chance of winning the World Series. The Braves, 0.5% chance.
Yeah, but there's still a chance.
Yep. Half a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Half a percentage point. You know
Probably what the Nationals were at 5 years ago. 6 years ago when they won the World Series.
So since you declared that they needed to win 20 out of 30,
Yep.
Where are we at on that?
I don't know. I stopped keeping up. I mean, when I tell you I've not listened or watched in the last 3 days, it's the God's honest truth. I haven't. But they have not hit that number. And then it was they needed to go, what was it, 10-2 in that stretch of 12 games before the All-Star break. That's not going to happen. That's fine. I got the memories of 21. I'll just watch that VHS tape that I have.
We'll get back to your text and your phone calls as well. This is Reaction Monday on Jox. Don't forget, we will be at Social Taco tomorrow. It'll be our final visit before SEC Football Media Days. We'll be in Atlanta the next week. So come on by and see us tomorrow beginning at 10 a.m. Doors open up at 11, located up on the Taco Terrace.
Check out Mandu. It's in downtown Homewood. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness, and it works. The great Jox listeners that have taken me up on the offer, they've gotten results. You can too. Your first visit is free. And Mandu, basically, if you've never heard about Mandu, electrical muscle stimulation fitness, it's all FDA approved, but you go into Mandu, they put you into a suit. It's very similar to a wetsuit. It's got cables that run from that wetsuit to a machine that sends electric pulses to various parts of your body. You can concentrate on different muscle groups, whatever that may be, or just overall endurance. But the revolutionary approach and all of this technology, what it means for you, and that's saving time. You're not going to spend endless hours in a gym hoping to get results. You're going to get results, and it's a 15-minute workout. Because of that technology, the 15 minutes is the equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. First visit is free. Take me up on the offer. Go to Mandu in downtown Homewood. Talk to Paul and his excellent staff of trainers, and they will walk you through it. MANDUU.com. That's Mandu in downtown Homewood. As always, tell them Landrum from Jox sent you.
So about a week or so ago, we had Blake Topmeyer on the program, outstanding writer for the USA Today Network, covers the Southeastern Conference. And I saw this over the weekend, and I know it was something that we talked about in great detail when it was being discussed as potential. But apparently, there was a story in the Baton Rouge Advocate saying that LSU, and I'm using Blake's words, not mine, that LSU wants to butcher its uniform by adding a sponsorship patch to the jersey in exchange for money. He writes, while traditionalists and purists cry foul over this development, I shrug my shoulders. This is the way the world works now. The New York Yankees slapped an insurance company logo on one of the most iconic uniforms in exchange for tens of millions of dollars, and the Chicago Cubs sold a spot on their jerseys to a telecommunications company. He says, why would college football be any different? I had not seen that LSU was going to put an ad on their...
They say who it is?
No.
Because the Quickcrete patch that we have on the Braves jersey, that would actually flow with the LSU jersey.
It says, for now, NCAA rules prohibit schools from putting sponsorship logos on their jerseys. The apparel company that makes the jersey put its logo on college uniforms. The uniforms also feature conference logos and school branding, but thus far, no sponsorship logos. Until last year, sponsorship logos weren't allowed on fields. As soon as that changed, deals were struck. Tennessee painted Pilot Corporation logo on its field in Neyland Stadium. Arkansas welcomed logos to Walmart and Tyson Foods. LSU will add sponsorship logos to the field at Tiger Stadium, the Advocate also reported. Uniform sponsorship logos would result in additional profit for the business. Let's not kid ourselves, Blake Topmeyer wrote. That's what college football is, business. It's now big business. So I guess LSU is ready to pull the trigger once that becomes an okay event. But I was unaware that LSU wants to add a sponsorship to its uniform top.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see what it ultimately looks like, because I know for the Yankees that they brought up in the article, right? It's a little patch on the sleeve. And I mean, okay, yeah, it's not the most traditional thing in the world, but it's not super invasive. Whereas with the college football uniforms, I assume you would probably have this more on the front of the jersey, which I think is where maybe you would see some of the fan outcry a little bit more, because it just kind of messes with that look.
So I pulled up a list of the corporate sponsors
for
LSU Athletics, and so I want to run some of these by you and see if you see this being a fit. Albertsons, the grocery store chain, Coca-Cola, Cox Communications, Hancock Whitney, Louisiana Blue, which is like their Blue Cross Blue Shield, McDonald's, Our Lady of the Lake Health, the Louisiana Lottery.
Yes, put that
That's a
on
good
there.
one.
That's a good
Yes.
one. Let's circle back to that one. Southern Air. You've got walk-ons. You've got a television station, BASF.
I don't know if they're a corporate sponsor, but what about Cane's? Raising Cane's, the chicken restaurant.
They're
Didn't an
not
LSU
on
grad
here.
found that though?
That is.
Didn't he go
I
to
think
LSU?
he's the dude that bought
all the Jell-O
shots.
Yeah.
You've got Oxbow, a state rum. That's not going on there. You've got Ford, Blue Plate real mayonnaise.
Then what would happen if LSU ends up in the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Ooh, that would be a problem. Sugar-filled spirits. That's not going on there. John Deere. You got ribs and you got Yeti. You got some options there.
Mm-hmm. McDonald's
I'd
would
like
make
to
the
go
most
back.
sense from a color scheme.
It would.
It would. Yeah, I'm with Molly though. I would think Raising Cane's would be one of the first ones.
I don't
that
see
they
them
would
Put a
maybe
piece
act-
of chicken on
Listed as one of their corporate sponsors.
No, I know, but just from the standpoint of their affiliation with
Right. Yeah.
the company.
It'd be great if they went like French's mustard because of the whole corn dog.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yeah, but French's is not listed.
I was about to say, who's a big corn dog manufacturer?
So would
I
that
don't-
would that bother you as an Alabama purist if they would put a sponsor on your jersey?
Would I be a huge fan of it? No, but if it ultimately helps the program and brings money in that makes an impact, then so be it. Do what you got to do.
But there's
to win.
certain logos that I think would be fine. Like if Alabama had a Mercedes logo.
Ooh, that would look really nice.
That'd look
Actually.
good, right?
And it would really shine on a black uniform.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think it would really stand
Yeah.
out. Just saying.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to have schools and they're going to say, all right, look, College Sports Commission, whoever's in charge now, we need this additional funding. Like we need another logo. But meanwhile, I believe it's Nike and Adidas and Under Armour. They're the ones that's pitched the biggest fit because they don't want
competition for their logo. Yeah.
right on the jersey tops. So I had not seen that until I read Blake Topmeyer's piece on that. So
Fans will get used to it. You hate it, but you get used to it.
I was just going to say, what if we get to a world where, okay, so the jersey's the same, right? So you recognize your team, but then the helmet is, you're sponsored by Buc-ee's and everyone's wearing a damn chipmunk on their head or something like that. And that's the future. I really hope not.
Possibly so.
Just saying, if you have a problem with putting it on the actual jersey.
How much would that cost?
A lot.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be any worse than when Maryland put their flag on it, though. That was a bad look.
Yeah.
Just too much going on.
Is that a chipmunk that Buc-ee's has?
Isn't that what it is?
I thought it was
Or a beaver?
That was a
I think
beaver.
it's a beaver.
I don't know. Sorry, Bucky. Whatever it is. You know what it is.
And the guy's pacing down the sideline running a 4.3. No, nobody knows. Kind of looks like a chipmunk.
It's a beaver. Yeah, you're right. It's a beaver.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bucky.
Oh, you and the Buc-ee's.
That's the future of college athletics, though, right? You find opportunities to have those extra revenue streams, whether it's on your field, whether it's on your uniform, your stadium, wherever you can put one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, you've got coaches' communication. Most of them have advertising on their side of their headphones on the sideline.
It's going to be interesting to see this Quikrete. Do they pull their sponsorship from the Braves? Like, yeah, this is not what we paid for. All these losses.
Now, on the Yankees jersey, is that color coordinated or is it completely different?
It kind of, yeah, it's like a navy blue.
Oh, is it?
Kind of patch. Yeah, it's on the left arm.
No, ours are not. It's bright yellow.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's like the 5,000 PSI mix.
I will tell you this: it's great quality.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I used about 5 bags of that stuff over the weekend. That's good stuff.
Did you mix it with a electric drill? With
Oh,
a
no.
mixing paddle?
Oh no.
Oh, you did it the old-fashioned way.
Old-fashioned way. Yep. Thank God for the auger. Trying to dig in this soil. I just feel so bad for.
Is that the nickname you've given to one of your hands there at the manor? You call him the auger. Smith's going to the bullpen. He brings in the auger.
Man, that was
6'5".
That was a huge pickup.
I bet it was.
That was a huge.
You would
pickup.
not be able to raise your arms today.
No. It was
if you had dug all of those post holes.
Yeah. Just
I say all of those. How many would you have gotten through?
no,
it wouldn't
this-
have been 40.
No, this wouldn't. Well, first off, yeah, I just replaced 5. But yeah,
That's what happens, though. You replace those 5.
So Jody from Trustful, he texted me on Thursday, and he was very disappointed that we weren't working because he was working, and he always listens to the show, and he was like, "Well, what's this? Like, what are you doing?" And so I did a little quick video. I said, "This is what I'm doing right now."
Jody, we're going to call you on college football Saturdays when we're working, and we're going to complain that you're not working.
Yeah, I'm like, "Look, this is what I'm doing." He goes, "Ooh, that's not good."
No,
I was like, "No, it's
not
not
good.
No, not at all.
Mhm.
But it has to be done."
Yep.
So
I've got some of those I got to do. My fence that it's had a tree that was leaning on it at one point. It's just unsightly for Gary's point of view. I was
Yeah,
just
don't
looking
wanna-
at it from
don't
his
wanna
backyard
irritate
the other
Gary.
day. No. Yeah, in case you hadn't noticed, Gary really doesn't get irritated that much. You got to really screw up.
All right, more of your calls and your texts. This is 3-Man Front on Jox. Some interesting news happened earlier this morning in the Southeastern Conference. Joe Castiglione, he is retiring as the 28-year athletics director at the University of Oklahoma. Some interesting names have already been bannered back and forth around the intercollegiate world. Current Mississippi State AD Zach Selman, he is from Norman, Oklahoma. He's part of Oklahoma family royalty. He was groomed by Castiglione for years at Oklahoma, and he has absolutely delivered some record-breaking fundraising in Starkville, Mississippi. So look for his name to be probably pretty high up on replacing the longtime athletics director at the University of Oklahoma.
You know, I would think that Castiglione would have a lot of input on that hire and maybe kind of hand tapping whoever his successor is.
Is he right after Troy Dannon?
I would think so.
Text line is open, 205-834-9450. We'll take you to the Jox text line now. Appreciate these great texts. Hey, Landrum, guess what hasn't happened in the last 4 days? A Braves win. Thought the season was over.
That was mean. They're just kicking you while you're down.
I don't get paid to play baseball for the Braves.
Is your fandom up for sale like Damien's is?
No,
on
it's not.
The Damian Mitchell show?
I can tell you one thing, though. I'm not going to be racing out to buy tickets to go and watch that miserable excuse for baseball right now. Not saying I won't. We won't. We might go to another game this season. It's not going to be right now.
A little warm.
Yes, that's the reason I'm using. It's too warm.
No, it's a good excuse.
View from the Omni patio is awesome, according to one of our listeners. 13th floor view here. Ooh, that is pretty. Look at that. See, we could stay there, guys. Just say that we got our reservation mixed up. We thought it was that Omni.
Show up to that one.
Yeah.
We need to double check our reservations, make sure we didn't actually book that one.
I bet you can find some rooms there now.
I would love to know, like for the Yankee series, like how much that room would cost, or even for the All-Star game, home run derby.
Oh, yeah.
You would have to think that, especially for the All-Star game, that Major League Baseball suits probably got like Manfred and all those type people. Don't you think that they got those rooms?
I would think so. Yeah. I don't know if Manfred gets one, though.
I forgot to ask to see where he stayed. When
Does he get somebody
Birmingham.
else to book it? It's under their name, not his.
Joey Fishwater.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, if you want to stay at the Omni, this isn't the, crazy nice room, but next Friday night, they're playing the Yankees. How much do you think one night is at the Omni? One night. And
$1,700.
Just base room.
1,300.
And there's only 3 left.
There's 3 left?
That's what it says. Only 3 rooms left at this price.
For Friday night?
Next Friday. Yeah, like a week and a half.
How much is it?
$1,300 a night.
What is that? Is that a king, queen, 2 doubles? What do we got?
Do you have a butler? Because they do have the butler service.
I mean, this looks
with
like
some of
a
these
very...
rooms. You go with the primo.
Yeah.
It does have a balcony view.
Does it have fire pit on balcony?
It has 1 king bed. 1 king bed, and it has a balcony view.
Can you bring a rollaway in? I'm asking these questions because, I mean, me, you, and Landrum could go in.
Are there complimentary...
For like one night, $1,700, split it 3 ways.
Is there complimentary moo-moos?
Oh, it's actually going to be more because this doesn't include...
forget it. I'm out.
Yeah, that's going
What's
to be
the thread
closer
count
to
on those sheets?
$1,500 after the taxes and
Of
everything.
course, taxes and fees.
You wouldn't do it? $500.
No. To watch the 2 worst teams in baseball right now, Pat?
It's the experience, Conrad.
It's the experience.
I've been to plenty of Yankees games, and I've been to Truist multiple times.
So how's Barrett on getting us tickets to the All-Star game or the Home Run Derby? Where are we at on that? I need to plan some stuff.
Yeah, we need to probably look for other options.
Plan
He
on
said that
doing
he would
something
drive
else?
it. He said he would drive us, but
Oh, that was all he was offering.
yeah. Brandon says if Hugh Freeze is fired and the Florida State offense is decent, do y'all think that Gus is talked to by AU? No.
No, but there's another school in the SEC that might be interested, depending on how their season goes.
Yes.
All our buddy Ty.
Yep. Someone texting in Collins. Hey, Collins from Pell City. Joey Chestnut participated in the crystal eating contest on the quad before the Alabama-Tennessee game in 2007. I don't remember how many he ate, but it was incredible to watch, like getting to see Tiger in his prime.
I had one of my friends yesterday, and he was being half sarcastic and half serious. He said, you could make an argument that Joey Chestnut's the most impressive modern American athlete, just in terms of all of his accomplishments.
Not including the entire burger with the bun and everything else, just the crystal hamburger patty.
Yeah.
How many do you think you can eat?
In
200?
And what? Like with just one sitting?
Okay,
Yeah.
I found the number that he ate, and I won't tell you the number yet, but he ate it in 8 minutes.
Okay, but he's eating the whole sandwich.
Yes.
And you're asking me, and just the patty?
I'm thinking he ate in how many minutes? 8 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
160.
Yeah, I was going to say like 125.
He had 103.
Good night.
That's a lot.
That's still a lot.
I'm not getting close to that.
But with those crystal buns, they're already kind of steamed and a little bit so
You can mash them down a little bit easier.
yeah, but you wouldn't have to dip them and saturate them as much in the water like you do the hot dog
That's true.
buns.
That's true.
Golly, there are a ton of texts. We'll get to them in the next hour. Some of them, you got to put a Tyvek suit on to read. Right up your alley, Pat. We'll try not to get in trouble. The fourth and final hour of three-man front as we continue. We'll get to more of your phone calls and discuss what is next for AU. Hugh Freeze on the recruiting trail. That and so much more. Three-man front on a Monday here on Jox, JoxFM.com, and the family of Jox networks across the great state of Alabama.
As we begin hour number 4, we are live on this Monday after the 4th of July. Coming up later this hour, we'll do some Pat Ponders as we get things started. 1 week away from SEC Football Media Days.
Yeah, this just in during the break. The Braves lost another game.
Oh, they're off today, silly. They can't lose.
It feels like everywhere we turn. The winner, though, will be the city of Atlanta, or really just outside of Atlanta, when all of Major League Baseball is there at Truist, which I can't think of a better place to have it.
Molly, do you know a lot of people that's going to the Cincinnati-Nebraska game on August the 28th in Kansas City?
Actually, yeah, I have a ton of friends going.
It now has a corporate sponsorship.
Oh, who?
It is going to be called the Battle Sports Kansas City Classic.
Oh, okay.
Battle Sports is a parent football equipment company out of Omaha, Nebraska.
Now it means something, Molly.
It always meant something to
Battle
me.
Sports?
Mm-hmm. Never heard of them.
Nope. This is a good way to get on the map, I guess.
Since 1972, Arrowhead Stadium has hosted 40 college football games. I was not aware of that.
Missouri and Kansas for a bunch of them, right?
Sometimes.
Or a few.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have the Big 12 championship game there.
Saw a lot of bad games in that one.
But yeah, so all games now, college games, they apparently have some big deal now that they'll be called Battle Sports Kansas City Classic. So Cincinnati and Nebraska on August the 28th.
That'd be fun.
I know, I'm excited. I have a ton of friends. Well, because a lot of my friends are from Kansas City.
Yeah.
And are both Huskers and Chiefs fans.
That's an 8 o'clock kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's early.
It is.
It's going to be played on Thursday night.
Big breakfast kickoff.
It was originally a Cincinnati home game. So what they're going to do is Cincinnati sold its hosting rights to Lucas Oil Stadium. Did you know that? Mm-hmm.
So now Nebraska's stealing home games from other programs?
Well, apparently it was originally a Cincinnati home game.
Mm-hmm.
It was a home and home with the two schools. Cincinnati sold its rights to Lucas Oil Stadium as part of post-COVID-19 and conference realignment schedule back in 2023.
Well, I think for a while there, they talked about moving the game to Lucas Oil, but then they just kept it in Kansas City.
But now the game is going to give Cincinnati a $2.5 million guarantee to play the game in Kansas City.
Oh, so they're not even going to try to win, Molly. Y'all are good.
No. Start 1-0.
Y'all are fine.
Yeah. It's looking for money. Text line is open, 205-834-9450. Hope you'll join us tomorrow. We'll be live at Social Taco as we are each and every Tuesday from 10 until 2.
We take you there to the Jox text line now, 205-834-9450. The Detroit Tigers have the most prospects playing in the MLB Futures game this weekend with 3. Molly, you should be feeling great.
Future's bright.
Thank you, Walker. We appreciate that. Uncle Jerry again from Hayden. He texts, Hugh Freeze is a hypocrite. He accuses other teams of cheating, but wasn't he fired for using university-issued phone there at Ole Miss? BTW Sleaze, the Barners have been on probation more than any team in the SEC. Google it. If they're not the most penalized, they are close.
Well, and that's the low-hanging fruit of the situation is Hugh Freeze playing a morality card.
Hugh is preemptively setting up his inevitable pass-the-buck moment. And then an acronym or... Pizza Larry says, are you sure, excuse me, kids aren't decommitting from AU like it's a TikTok challenge? Wasn't going to read that other one. Almost did.
Yeah, you...
Yeah. No. Nope.
Oh, that would have been so great.
Yeah,
that would have been
would've
almost
been.
as good as the Jeeps and whatever the other thing was that you said.
You can say the word. Somebody else hacked it. You can say it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sporting clays.
That's right.
Posey says maybe they report the koozie when it comes to the tennis program at Alabama, so they don't ask about the Bama Garden Gnome they bought them. Maybe so.
Smart.
That gets too much attention. Corey asks, what is your favorite 4th of July celebration?
I mean, favorite part of the celebration. I will say, I think here, if you watch the Thunder on the Mountain fireworks show, I think it is very good. If you're around the Birmingham area, I thoroughly enjoy that.
It's a solid 20-minute show.
Oh yeah, they do a good job every year.
Like that. Did you guys eat a lot for the 4th?
Oh yeah.
We grilled out.
Did you eat hot dogs?
I had a hamburger.
4 hot dogs on
I
July
didn't.
4th.
4?
4.
I did some
They were
chicken.
good.
Did some smoked jalapeno cheddar sausage.
Ooh.
Did a hamburger.
I had a hamburger.
Not all in the same day.
And some brisket.
Okay.
It was really good.
That's
Did
good.
not do any hot dogs. Somebody's saying that lacrosse is officially Canada's national sport.
Are they good at lacrosse?
I don't know. State Fair corn dogs, basically, coming in for the corporate sponsorship patch
for
on
LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
State
good.
Fair corn dogs.
Okay.
That is a brand.
That would be good.
Mike says, Landrum, focus your attention on Wimbledon. There's a couple of Americans still left to pull for. We have it on here in studio. How's that going right now?
I guess the American won a minute ago.
Couldn't tell you.
He had lost the first set. FSU Dave will have to let us know.
Pat, you'll have to take us back to this because I remember the name of the stadium or the field at one time. How did Troy have the movie gallery logo on the field in the early 2000s?
Yeah, it was a corporate sponsorship. So if I'm not mistaken, Movie Gallery was founded in Dothan. I think
really?
that's right. Yeah.
Huh.
And then I think Movie Gallery took over Video Express. They bought the franchise, and then they became the stadium sponsor at Troy.
Justin asking, does Conrad think that Bucky from Bucky's, the chain, is a chipmunk? Yes, he did.
Chipmunk, squirrel, beaver. What's really the difference?
Bobby says Conrad might need to watch and review Alvin and the Chipmunks since he thought a beaver was a chipmunk. I agree.
Unfortunately,
Beaver's a little bit bigger than a chipmunk.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
Does it? Jody said if LSU had a corporate sponsor, would another fan base not support that corporation out of spite because it's affiliated with LSU or any other team that does that? Just a thought. Yes, and I think that's something that some of these companies think about. Now, if it's more of a regional, like with LSU, you wouldn't have to worry about it. You're in a state where you don't have a rival school where that fan base is going to pull.
That's a good point. Or, I mean, I guess in certain, like Arkansas, for example, is anyone saying, I'm not going to Walmart anymore?
No,
you're going to Walmart. Like, it is what it is. You're going.
It would be problematic here in the state.
Yeah, it could be.
It'd be problematic in the state of Florida, I would think. Maybe
Probably
not
so.
Tennessee.
No, maybe not so much.
Georgia, you could probably get away with it.
I could see, well, I don't know, Texas is so big, maybe it wouldn't be that big of an issue.
I don't think it
but
would fly in Oklahoma.
No. That's a really good point, though. I hadn't even thought about, let's say Auburn, Auburn sponsored by a fast food chain, and then all the Alabama fans, I'm not going to eat there
Do you
anymore.
remember Bo Nix?
See, I still ate there.
With the sweet tea, though.
Yeah.
You had some
Milos.
some fans that, yeah.
Yeah.
You probably
I never
just
thought
don't
about
wanna-
it running that deep, but yeah.
And some people don't care like you. You're still going to go and eat it, or you're going to consume it, you're going to drink it. But there are some people that didn't. Someone saying, I had the pleasure to visit Landrum, South Carolina this weekend. Thrilling. I hope it was. It's a beautiful town. Go Cardinals. It's the nickname of the high school team.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Sam asks, is Conrad still accepting used dirty toothbrushes? Yes, he is.
Yeah, still haven't gotten any.
Don has chimed in. Okay, my Auburn Tigers are not having a good summer, but my Cubs are having a great season. Prediction, Suzuki will win the home run derby next week. Okay.
Is he participating in the home run derby? I mean, I guess he is. I know Ronald's doing it.
I saw where
Cal Rowley.
Polar Bear has said no thanks.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I know Acuna, Cal Rowley, and the dude for the Nationals, Wood.
There was somebody else that said they weren't doing it. Another big name.
Interesting.
Crimson Convict says, just got back from the beach for the 4th. How about the 7-foot bull shark and 10-foot tiger shark in 5 feet of water, 100 feet offshore? Whoa.
Don't like that.
They've always been there.
Yeah.
Just don't tie the bait fish to yourself.
You don't chum the water before you get in?
Can't believe he bit me. These 3 bloody bait fish tied to my ankle. That's not always the case. Conrad, what games for Alabama do you plan on going to? I guess they're trying to arrange which games not to watch.
Or games to bet on.
Yeah,
or games to bet on.
So I guess I did make the promise that I wouldn't go to any games this year. But if I were to go to games this year, Missouri is a possibility, and LSU.
That was Darren from Tennessee asking. Thank you, Darren.
Those would be the 2. Not going anywhere near those Vanderbilt or Oklahoma games, I promise you.
Always love your interaction on the Jox text line, 205-834-9450. Oh, I forgot someone asking, will Notre Dame make it back to the Natty? Like this year?
I would say no this year.
No.
Back in the playoff, though.
Unless they get the BYU quarterback.
Maybe so.
His name is not in the transfer portal yet, by the way. Just saying.
Maybe he's had a change of heart. He's going to serve the suspension. No, that's not the case, right?
Did they say born again?
Asking the wrong guy. Don't know.
I don't know either.
Go
Irish.
One guy that we talked about a couple weeks ago, and apparently he didn't have a very good weekend, and that was your boy Grant Frucking, whatever his name is. Did you see that?
Yeah, the Tennessee scam artist.
Yeah, police detectives in Georgia have secured a warrant for the arrest of the former Tennessee walk-on.
He'll do great in jail.
Charge of theft by deception related to a stream of business promises that went undelivered. It was first reported by the Knoxville News a couple weeks ago. Frucking is making arrangements to turn himself in to authorities to the Roswell Police Department. Investigators in both Milton and Roswell, which is right outside of Atlanta, are investigating whether he defrauded residents in a scheme to take payments for pine straw that was never delivered. Hey, what you in here for?
What does that look like? I'm making arrangements to turn myself in. Don't you just
based on this guy though and his
turn
schemes
yourself in?
and who he is pretended to be? Do we have any doubts that he goes to prison or goes to jail and convinces all of the other inmates that he's the warden?
There's going to be a movie made about this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be like a Shawshank 2 type thing.
He is a talented individual.
Yeah, a lot of these people are.
Yeah.
He was also a part-time consultant for the University of Tennessee football program. Since July of 2023, he was employed by the university while carrying out financial scams related to his former business. He's facing civil claims and unpaid bills. But it goes back to the fact that he was getting paid by On3 Sports, and he was a consultant for the University of Tennessee football program. He was the director of the On3 Athlete Network and also leader of all of its major NIL events. So you bring in all the top high school talent to Nashville, and he's the guy that is the main contact, and he's being employed by the University of Tennessee. Now, in the old days of the NCAA, Tennessee would be in serious hot water. Serious hot water. But now, it's no big deal.
So would you rather your favorite team have a Grant Ferkling or a Connor Stallions in your program?
His duties included advising Coach Heupel on field matters, consulting staff members of best practices, and representing the Vols program at public events.
I think I'd rather have a Connor Stallions.
You got a national championship out of him.
You did.
Yeah, Tennessee did not get a national championship out of him. Also on the Tennessee front, did you see where it is now official Tennessee is leaving Nike? So Nike comes on board and gets Auburn, and Tennessee is out the door. One more year, and they are going back to Adidas.
Too much orange in the portfolio for Nike.
I was hoping you were going to say Battle Sports. Could have tied that.
That would have been great, wouldn't it?
Nike has been with Tennessee since 2014. It expires in 2026. They were with Adidas from 1995 to 2014. So when they won their last national championship, they were wearing Adidas.
Yeah.
Also, Tennessee uniform news. Did you see the Smoky Grays? The brand new Smoky Gray uniforms? Oh, yeah. 4th of July, they unveiled their 2025 edition of their Smoky Gray series. This will be the final Smoky Gray uniform in a 4-year stretch with Nike. The 2025 uniforms are a tribute to Tennessee's volunteer spirit and the state's reputation of service in the United States military. The helmet is light gray. Each side features the iconic T logo in Tennessee orange with an orange stripe and then 2 lighter type patterns. Did you see that? Do you know what that is? Do you know what that's supposed to represent?
No.
Nico.
And it's supposed to, and then on the jerseys, you see the same thing. These little lines on the uniforms. It is called the Davy stripe for Davy Crockett. If you remember your American history, how they would be wearing the, the coonskin cap, and then obviously they would be wearing, obviously some type of skinned leather, and they would have fringes. That's what is on the helmet and on their uniforms.
Again, I understand they have their reasoning for it. Looking at it, the 2 different colored tones of gray is it doesn't look great. It would look really good if the grays matched, in my opinion.
Does the crimson jersey match the crimson helmet at Alabama?
It's different.
Well, it's like the Dallas Cowboys pants and the helmet don't match.
No, they don't. That one's very off.
We got to get this straightened out in sports.
How hard is it to match tones?
So if you didn't see it, go do a search on Tennessee's new Smoky Gray uniforms.
We just had our house painted. It's tougher than you think.
Fair enough.
Different font number, too, as well. Completely different.
I think they're really sharp outside of it's distracting.
Just because the helmets don't match the
jersey, correct.
There's kind of a lot going on.
What if it comes back? Nico got a proof of this early, and he was like, you know what? I'm not wearing that.
Adidas school?
Just think when
No
Nike,
thanks. No thanks.
Nike and Alabama bring out the black jersey for the Vanderbilt game.
Yes.
To fire everybody.
Yes.
That would actually make me throw up. I would be sick to my stomach if Alabama did that.
For that game?
Yeah, that would be the most embarrassing thing I'd ever seen Alabama do.
What if behind the scenes, Kalen DeBoer whispered to those 5-star recruits when they were on campus, "Hey, by the way, we're going to black jerseys this fall. Don't tell anybody. Don't let everybody know.
Just give me my credit, coach. That's all I ask."
We're breaking it out, and we're going to do it for the Vandy game. Nobody sees it coming. Be one of the first 10,000 inside of BDS, and you too can own that shade of black.
It's going to be just awesome.
Here's your koozie.
No, it's illegal. Can't do that. All right, more 3-man front on this Reaction Monday on Jox. Is it still a holiday?
I don't think so. Maybe for some.
Based on Birmingham traffic, everybody's back.
It was like a power surge. What was that?
That was me.
She
Did
touches
you
the
shock
microphone.
yourself?
She's
Oh.
Can you hear that?
yeah, we can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear it.
That's why we stopped. Thought you had been electrocuted.
No,
Mhm.
I'm okay.
Do it again. Didn't work.
How it's not working?
That's wild. Oh, there
There
it
it
was.
is.
There it was.
Would have
right
been cool
there.
if your hair stuck up.
Okay, I'll stop now.
That would be
Sorry.
a problem.
Put your other hand in a cup
Well.
of water and do that. See what happens.
I don't think that would be a good idea. Are you guys pumped about a White House UFC event
Oh yeah, I saw that.
We doing that at the White House?
at the White House?
You on the lawn, right?
Yep. So he said last
cool.
week that in celebration of America's 250th birthday, that they're going to have a UFC event there on the White House grounds. No professional sporting event has ever been contested on White House grounds. Did you guys realize that?
Well, you'd be pretty limited in your options.
Now, there have been some recreational events.
You could do sporting clays.
President John F. Kennedy played touch football in front of the White House in 1962. Richard Nixon, he was an avid bowler. He built a one-lane alley beneath the White House in 1973.
I love it. It's still there.
I was about to say that's there still.
In 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower installed a putting green on the South Lawn.
That's a
in,
must.
And in 1993, President Bill Clinton installed a quarter-mile track on the White House grounds.
That was, yeah.
I just can't get over the first one still.
But did you know that the first ever, I'm going off memory, that's nothing in my notes, that I believe right across the street from the White House, I can't remember, I'm not be on the backside of it. There used to be a park in which in 1865, two professional baseball teams played across the street from the White House.
Now that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Right after the Civil War.
We need to get a college football game there.
At the White House?
Yeah. We could do it, right? We don't have to take out any trees.
Ah, yeah, we'll figure the dimensions out. I'm sure they can work some magic. Well, I mean, hey, I'll watch a UFC fight on the White House. I mean, it'd be cool just because it's something that's never been done before.
So the question is, what kind of,
I don't watch the UFC.
What kind of
but
attendance
I
would
would
you
watch
get?
it.
because needless to say,
The security clearance would be insane, I would think.
there's been a couple times that I have been around presidents and the level of security that you have to go through,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
just the number of, like, I'm just thinking the number of people that would be in attendance for the event that you would have to clear.
Yeah. I don't know. Are they serving alcohol at this thing? I could see this thing getting sideways in a hurry. Like, you'll never believe what we caught one of those UFC fans doing in the White House when the bathroom line was too long.
Well, I mean, they already had cocaine in the White House, right? A couple years ago.
Allegedly, Pat. We don't know where that came from.
What about, was that not,
I just wasn't expecting that.
what are you talking about? People getting drunk at the White House?
Yeah.
I thought it was crack.
Was it? I don't know.
Was it crack or was it?
I was under the impression it was I guess the worse of the two. I don't know the difference. I just assume one's worse than the other. Crack just sounds worse.
Yeah. I think crack is associated with being worse, but I don't think in either form they're good for you.
Yeah. Not very good.
Maybe in small doses medicinally. Did they used to mix? They would mix certain things with cocaine back in the day, wouldn't they?
Like Coca-Cola?
I'm talking about pharmacies.
Man, that headache went away real fast.
I'm sorry. As we're talking about that, look what's on the screen.
I've got all of this energy now. Let me tell you a story.
I felt way better 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Got any more of that?
We'll do some Pat Ponders as we roll on this Monday Reaction Monday. More of your text and your calls. This is Three Man Front.
$134, three-man front. Someone texting in that liquid cocaine was actually used as a local anesthetic during surgeries back in the day. Thank you for that. Great Jox listeners. 205-834-9450 is always on the Jox text line.
So let me just get real quick. So instead of getting knocked out with anesthesia, they would just give you cocaine and then cut you open and go to work.
I don't know how it worked.
That sounds horrifying. But I guess back then that's the best you had.
Yeah, I was watching The Patriot and looking at just some of those scenes of during the war and some of the things that they had to do. You didn't have a lot of times the local anesthetic. And that was just basically bite on a towel. Here we go. So given the option, I would take the liquid.
Yeah. I also appreciate the advancements in modern medicine that we've made.
Yeah. A lot of advancements. We get 5 questions from Pat. We try to answer them on a daily basis. This is a segment of the program we call Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Every single day brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trustful. Best prices you're going to find anywhere in the Southeast when it comes to brand new GMCs. Up to $15,000 off Sierras, up to $10,000 off Sierra HDs. Largest discounts on 2025 Yukons. All new 2026 GMC Terrains. You heard me right. 2026 GMC Terrains. You're not going to find them anywhere except Courtesy GMC. Don't forget about the wonderful certified used car vehicles that they have in stock ready to go. 9 acres of inventory right there. Courtesy GMC in Trustful, located right off of I-459, exit 32. All right, question number 1. Last year, Alabama's Ryan Williams, he was 11th in the SEC in receiving, 865 yards. Cam Coleman at Auburn was 22nd in the SEC with 598 yards. Does either wide receiver crack the conference top 5 this season in receiving yards? One was 11th last year. The other was 22nd.
No, and the reason would be because of the other guys that are going to take away some of your targets and your touches. Well, for Cam Coleman, I think I'd say no, because Eric Singleton's going to get a lot of balls. I'm tempted to follow up with the same answer with Ryan Williams too, though.
Okay, so last year, if you wanted to finish in the top 5 receiving in the SEC, you would have had to have at least 932 receiving yards. I'm kind of with you, Landrum. I think for Cam Coleman, it would be less likely just because nothing against him or his talent. It's just you're paying a lot of money to Singleton. And we saw last year, I know he's a freshman, but we saw what Keandre Lambert-Smith did, and he got a big share of the receiving yards last year.
Plus, you got Malcolm Simmons.
Perry Thompson.
Yeah.
You got a lot of mouths to feed there. So, yeah, I would say no for Cam Coleman, but I will say yes for Ryan Williams just because they're going to want to throw the football more than they did last year, and if they can do that more consistently – I mean, he was 100 yards away last year for being in the top 5. So, yeah, I'll say Ryan Williams, yes. Cam Coleman, no.
I think it's more likely for Ryan Williams, too. And I would say more top 10. I wouldn't go top 5, though.
Okay. Question number 2. What non-SEC head football coach irritates you the most?
Non-football?
No.
Wait.
Non-SEC.
Oh, non-SEC. Okay. Well, Landrum is an offensive coordinator now.
Who, Brian Harsin? No. You're talking about Dana.
Yeah.
No. Ooh. I'll be honest, I think that James Franklin.
It's a good one. I'd probably go Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
He's just been there so long.
I think right now it would be Burt just because he's been really obnoxious this offseason at Illinois. So I would probably go Burt, but before that.
So it's interesting because so far the 3 of you have chosen Big Ten coaches.
Yeah.
That's right.
Definitely.
And I'm sure James Franklin would be, I've actually told you guys, he called in the show. Sure, great guy to hang out with, but his spill, it seems like. whether it's towards fans, reporters at a press conference. I don't know why.
See, for me, it's Lincoln Riley.
See, I was about to say before Bird, it would be Lincoln
Yeah.
Riley. Yeah.
Even when he was at Oklahoma.
I was thinking about relevant college football coaches that annoy me.
That's a good one.
I forget he's out there.
Gundy's
No kidding.
another one for me.
I'm a man.
Yeah, I go back and forth with Gundy.
Yeah.
Like, I like having him around. Like, I wouldn't want him to be my head coach of the team I rooted for, but I like him being a part of
He's going to be diffused now because now that there's not Bedlam.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Nobody's going to go Chuck Martin, Miami of Ohio.
yeah. I don't know if he's – I think everything worked out okay for him. Just in terms of what Alabama paid for Nicholson versus what they got in return. I think he probably got a good chuckle out of that.
Oh, I got another one. Pat Narduzzi.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Now, I want to remove my James Franklin, Pat Narduzzi.
How about Mario Cristobal?
I like Cristobal. He doesn't annoy me.
Bill O'Brien.
Ooh, that's a good
That's a good one.
I honestly forgot about him for a second. Yeah. That would be a good one. I like him more now. I feel like he's having his redemption arc right now, but for the last couple of years, Dabo's really gotten on my nerves. But I think he's turning a corner a little bit. There's a lot of people we don't like, apparently.
No, it's just. Yeah. I'll stick with mine. That's a great question.
Next one. Do you personally have a 5-second rule for food that lands on the floor, or does it matter?
Yeah, well,
It depends on the type of food.
depends on the food.
Yeah.
It depends on, and I know, but is it my floor?
Or a random.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If it's in my home, which it shouldn't matter, and it doesn't, it's still the same germs. But yes, I will. And it just depends on what it is. It's kind of like Molly. If there's lots more where that came from, then I'll throw it away.
Right.
But if for some reason, oh, heaven forbid, dropped a fillet and it hit the floor, that thing is getting devoured still.
Yeah, I let that sit there for 5 minutes and pick it up and cook it.
No, I mean, that's just maybe not even that.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that.
I mean, I think of everybody in the group.
I think we
pretty
all kind of
confident what
assumed
your
where
answer
that
was
one
going to be,
going,
Conrad.
but
That was
yeah,
easy.
It's food.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste it.
What about you, Pat?
That's a big negative.
Even in your house?
Even in my house.
Yeah.
Mythbusters. Do you remember that show, Mythbusters?
Yeah. The dirtiest
Oh,
places
is it
in
like
your house?
how much?
They did a whole show on that theory.
And how many germs it picks up in 5 seconds or something?
Instantaneous.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's
No, it's instant. Yes, it's instant.
It's not like it doesn't matter.
No.
If it's there for 5 seconds or 10 minutes or.
But when you're not
half
washing your
seconds.
hands all day, it doesn't really matter if you're picking up the food and eating it, right?
It all matters, Conrad.
Okay.
Next question. If you were in prison,
toughens you up.
What hobby would you take up to pass the time?
Working out, I guess. I mean, I feel like that would be the best use of my time.
I'd go letter writing, and I provide it as a service to my fellow inmates, where I could write and correspond with their families, and that would be leverage where I was valued. And don't mess with me.
And you would have like all their secrets.
I would
and
have
stuff.
protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From all of the rival gangs, I would have protection because I was their correspondent.
That's a good one.
That is good.
You know what? I stole that from a buddy of mine who had to serve time.
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty
Oh.
well? Okay.
It was a long time ago. He served a 7-month stretch. And, yep, it was.
Interesting.
That was a valued service. I can think of.
I would think so, yeah.
Probably some others.
All right, so Conrad's working out. You're writing letters to the whoever. What are you doing?
Parole board.
Maybe for me, because I would probably be in like the female prison, like doing hair. Like if they want their hair done.
Oh, that's good.
like braiding it.
So
or
you're running
brushing it.
the beauty shop
I'll
in
do
the
that.
women's prison.
Mm-hmm. Because when I was on my high school dance team, I was always the hair braider. Or like I would do people's like buns for them. So.
Well, Conrad, that might be your job in prison.
You walked right into that one.
Like a ballet bun, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Nasty.
What about you, Pat? You running numbers?
Probably.
Pat's the bookie. Are
Buy
you
your
kidding
square
me?
today.
Yeah, he's the bookie.
Pat is 100% the bookie.
Either that or I'm getting my law degree.
There you go. You gotten a head start from the last 2 years of college football?
Yeah. I feel like I've, gained some valuable knowledge on that front. For my appeal, I'm trying to.
Well, this is kind of a random question, but if you went to jail, let's say you were in prison for something not that intimidating, would you lie and say you did
like
something?
pine straw fraud?
Yeah, would you lie and say you did something really bad so other people be like, oh, we don't want to mess with that guy?
Yeah, but
because I feel like that's kind of an angle you have to take in certain situations because you don't want to be the pine straw guy.
But aren't you outed? Aren't you outed pretty quick in prison these days where they could just ask a guard? What is he?
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I guess that's how that works.
You just be like, I'm in here for pine straw fraud. What they don't know is that all of those unsolved murders, all those cold cases.
Yeah, I'd be dropping nuggets like that just so people would be like, well, maybe I don't know about that guy. Let's play it safe around him.
That is today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
More of your texts as we continue here on the Monday edition of 3-Man Front right here on Jox.
Well, this week we could be a step closer to an expanded NCAA men's basketball tournament. We've talked about it over the last couple of weeks. This week in Savannah, Georgia, the Division I Men's Basketball Committee, they will convene in a summer summit. There are many items on the agenda, but only one of them is going to catch the attention for most people in the broadcast media, and that is the expansion of a 76-team NCAA men's basketball and women's tournament. So that will be discussed later this week in Savannah, Georgia. So we'll see if we get one step closer, because the last time, Lange, when we heard about this, it was about that they were discussing things with their media partners.
Yeah.
And obviously seeing if they could get a little bit more do-re-mi out of them before they
76 teams, one dream.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the committee is going to dig into what makes the most profitable decision moving forward. You and I remember this back in 1985 was when the last time that the tournament had a significant increase in teams. Now they have added the first four and those type over the last few years, but it was back in 1985 that they went to the 64-team tournament, because before that it was 48 teams.
So if we expand every 35 years, I think everybody would be okay with that.
Yeah.
We're
And the
good.
number of teams that are now playing.
Yeah.
As opposed to the old days. Also, the Big 12 Conference, do you remember that they said that they will not do a preseason projection for the conference, 1 through whatever, like they have in the past?
Because it was so bad last year.
Yeah. So they're just not even doing it this year. But they are allowing the media to vote on their preseason all Big 12 teams. See, this doesn't make any sense to me. So you don't want your media to vote on who you think is going to win the league, but
let's highlight individual players.
Yes. So the offensive player of the year, according to the preseason all Big 12 team, is Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. Defensive player of the year is Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker from Texas Tech. And the newcomer of the year, Devin Dampier, who is a quarterback at Utah.
He was good. He was he at New Mexico?
Yeah.
Last year. He's good.
Yep.
So I'm just sitting here looking down the list of their all-conference team, seeing which school is represented the most. And it appears only one Colorado player on the offense, and defensively speaking, one defensive player for Coach Prime. It's like every school is pretty well represented. It's all over the board in regards to not one team in the Big 12 has a dominant list of players. So
Parity's great.
Mm-hmm.
How much does the Rodriguez kid get from Texas Tech? Was it Rodriguez?
Mm-hmm. Jacob.
I don't know. I'd be looking at what old big boy got on the offensive line this weekend and saying, hey.
Not that I didn't already do this with some players and some teams, but now with Texas Tech, every time I watch their games, I'm going to wonder what every single player is making.
Absolutely.
Just some names to keep attention to. Bryson Washington from Baylor. He has been named all-conference running back. And on the defensive side of the ball, Baylor has got their linebacker, Keaton Thomas, and their punter all made preseason all Big 12. So names to
Auburn fans, you hope
pay
that
attention
punter's got a busy night in Waco.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so 3 Baylor players made the preseason all-conference team. So Arizona State looks like they were represented the most. Just doing the eyeball test here, I would probably say 4 or 5 players on both sides.
That's
of
what
the
you would
ball.
expect from
the
defending
With the
champions.
media, they're still, it's not like the Big 12 can say you can't put together your projections. They can still put together 1 through.
Prime example, the Big 10, because they're so haughty, they've never done it.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland plain dealer, right?
That's correct. They do a poll amongst outlets around the Big Ten Conference. That's what they come up with their preseason whatever, not the official Big Ten.
Who do you guys have in finishing last in the Big 12 this year?
Last in the Big 12?
Yeah. Was it last year? It was Arizona State, right, that they picked?
Did they pick them? They might have picked them to finish last. I wouldn't have super high expectations for UCF. I don't know if I pick them last.
Yeah.
I think I would have to go with you, man. I would probably have to go UCF.
It's probably going to be ugly. Or it's going to be amazing, and they're going to claim their second national championship in the last 8 seasons, Molly.
No, that's not going to happen.
That's going to do it for us. We appreciate all of you joining us, all of the interaction coming up. Tomorrow, we're going to be live from Social Taco in Homewood. That's always a blast for Conrad, Molly, Pat. I'm Landrum. Thanks for listening. God is great. Paul Feinbaum, The Paul Feinbaum Show is next.